adore my 64, my Commodore 64. I sing with it, write with it, figure my path of flight with it, my Commodore 64. I rate with it, create with it, telecommunicate with it, my Commodore 64. I adore my 64, my Commodore 64.
The Commodore 64. Remember, it costs less than £230. And don't forget, it has the enormous.
Hello and welcome to episode 1, to episode 25, episode 42, episode 66, episode 85, episode 99. My name is Adrian Mills, and I am joined as ever by my good friend and co-host Graham Raddings. This is a podcast that focuses primarily on games that were released for the Commodore 64.
Welcome to Zapped to the Past, episode 100.
And welcome to episode 100 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills, and I'm joined as always by Graham Raddings and a cast of others. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week we looked at our first batch of games from issue 41 of Zap 64, which we are in no way affiliated with, and were greased by Dizzy, left with a painful ninjury in Last Ninja 2, and admired the pine trees at night in Night Racer. This week we continue our look at the games in September 1988, along with what singles were released that month. So Graham, fill our ears with all the games that will be sampled this week.
In this massive 100-serving catering-sized tin of spaghetti hoops of an episode, we upgrade our shootiest spaceship to 11 and blast everything that approaches us, sine wave or not, in the brilliant side-scrolling shoot-'em-up Salamander. Explore the drab and dreary world of a dangerous overrun soap bubble factory looking for a lost logo in the confounding I-Xera. Take 2 steps forward and 23 back as we shoot forwards and go backwards, as well as zoom around the walls in the tragic Blood Brothers, and grab our snow speeders, not our snow speedos, to fly and zoom around the jerky 3D vectors of the planet Hoth, seemingly at night, looking to take down the AT-ATs in The Empire Strikes Back. Are your spaghetti hoops also covered in a suspiciously orange tomato sauce? We also head to the Incan temples of Peru on the quest for gold, diamonds, and the exit as we blast and scoot around the interesting levels of Netherworld, jump in a video game time machine and set the time control to ages ago and the game type to crappy as we explore the Moon Patroller-like sand dunes of Beach Buggy Simulator, get to grips with the kind of outrun-looking pole position come Spy Hunter-inspired but ultimately blocky and bland 8-bit version of the Atari Arcade Road Blasters, before finally grabbing our Magic Knight outfit again and getting ourselves back into some kind of chronological game order in the dreary Wandathon Nighttime. 100 episodes in and we're still getting to play some dreary old tosh. However, there are actually some good games in this episode and you will learn things you can use.
Sample-tastic.
Delish.
There's some interesting ones
lovely.
there. Absolutely. But it's episode 100, Graham.
100.
Episode 100. Quite the thing, really, isn't it?
It is quite a big thing. 100 episodes of this podcast has been.
It really
as
is.
the very elaborate intro to this particular episode will have ably demonstrated, by the way. And for those that are wondering what that amazing soundtrack is at the beginning, I am not going to tell you right now because that would give it away for Adrian, who's not heard it yet.
I haven't heard it yet.
Trust me, it's epic.
Is it?
Epic and very, very relevant.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Okay.
It is. 100 episodes.
This
Crazy.
is a big surprise to me. You know, I always like a nice surprise. Not like that.
I went back and listened to episode 1, just as an interesting aside, where it's quite clear that we're not quite sure what we're doing.
We've obviously got, we still don't.
We've got 99 better now. 99
better. But 99 better, but something in one. Yeah, so it's episode 100. We've got stuff going on. So it's not just us. We've got comments from other people. Some people have sent us messages. Some people have given us recorded clips. We've got guest stars. There's all
we have
kinds
some
of stuff
amazing
going on.
people involved in this.
Yeah.
Amazing people.
So
amazing.
hopefully you like this. This is, it's a bit of a celebration. Woo, 100. But also as well, just the usual stuff. So we've got loads of games. There's 8 games, singles, and stuff like that. So let's. I think this is going to be quite a chunky episode. So should we just get into it? Should we just get into our games?
Let's get into it because you're going to get value for money out of this episode. Let me tell you.
I think you might well. So let's get into our first game. And our first game this week is a 94% sizzler. It is Salamander. Salamander. And I have a question to start off with for myself. How did I miss this? How did I miss this? Seriously, one of, if not my favourite arcade shooter. And some issues aside, which we'll talk about, this is a great port to the only computer I had at the time. It got a great review in a magazine I was still reading at that point. And it completely bypassed me. I don't know.
How did that happen?
I have no idea. I mean, I started trying to think, what was I doing in September 1988? And I just started sixth form. The C64 was being replaced by, I was playing a lot of board games. So
I was getting into amateur dramatics.
I was getting into amateur dramatics as well. Yeah, I think it was the Barbarian from Rastan that, forced me to do. So I think with all that, this being a multi-load as well, so I didn't have a lot of money back then, and so probably what money I had was going elsewhere. I couldn't get a copy of this, shall we say. I couldn't source this from my usual sources, which was Gary. Yeah. So I just never got hold of it. So I don't know. I just never played this on the C64. So here we go. It's the first time I've tried this. Salamander. What is Salamander? So the plot, I'm just going to take a bit of a left field turn here because there's a plot, right, for the Salamander. This is according to the Gradius Wiki. So the Gradius Wiki puts the plot as this. Lattice was a planet covered by water with a beautiful sparkle. There, a prophecy of fire has been passed down since a long time ago. Thousands of light years away, when a giant dragon born and living in a sea of flames wakes up, a crazy force will approach, swallowing heaven and earth in the darkness and eventually breaking the light. Here, in planet Lattice, the Bacterian cluster continues to spread, beginning its invasion with the Salamander army. The Lattice army, however, didn't have any way of fighting against Salamander. The Prince of Lattice threw himself at battle with the space-time fighter Lord British, named after himself, and requested help from the planet Gradius, which was said to have faced and defeated the cluster's forces before. The Gradius army receives British's distress call. Extending their support, they fly to the Salamander army's mother star, Super Space Time Fighter Vic Viper launch.
Blimey, there's a mouthful.
What the hell's all that?
Jeez, what's all that?
However, the back of the box for this has simplified things a bit, saying, beyond infinity lies the evil galaxy dominated by the forces of the despotic Salamander. A hero must persuade his compatriots to join him on a journey into hell and beyond. Organic monsters of destruction, nuclear spiders, infernos burning like raging seas in torment, caverns of despair, demons beyond the dimensions of our minds.
Wowza.
Yeah. And then we get Zapp's review. Right. So Zapp, I'm just going to read from the Zapp review because this is the story in the main chunk of thing. It goes, in the far off reaches of the universe lies a collection of stars forming the Tesla galaxy. Within this galaxy exists the Lattice system comprising 5 planets: Aeonius, Lavinia, Kirka, Odysseus, and Lattice itself. The 100-million-year-old civilization has, over the centuries, become highly advanced and prosperous, blessed with an awesome psycho power known as the Crush Blow power. This gift enabled them to look into the future, but what they saw was enough to strike terror into the hearts of every inhabitant of the Lattice system. Total annihilation. This revelation was inscribed onto metal and stone tablets, known as the Prediction, but they were lost over the years between the 5 planets. Now the time has come for the fulfilling of the prophecy, and civilization holds its breath. True to the prediction, from a distant galaxy an evil force emerges, envious of the utopian lifestyle of Lattice's inhabitants. Intent on their destruction. The forces of Salamander are on their way.
It's all a little bit crazy.
What's going on with all these? It's just what? It's just a shoot 'em up.
Yeah, you don't need all that, do you?
Anyway, 3 stories that are all over Raw. Anyway, whatever the story actually is. This is Salamander. This is not the sequel to Nemesis Gradius, which I always thought it was for many years, but we discussed this when we did Nemesis. It's not. This is a side. Right. This is a sidequel, I suppose is the right word.
Fair enough.
Sidequel. this is a side story. The proper sequel to Nemesis, or Gradius, was Gradius 2, which we knew as Vulcan Venture. So that was the actual sequel to Nemesis. That's what we got over here, because there's actually a Salamander 2 in 1996, I think, or 1997, 90s. This one in the mid-90s. So anyway, the original arcade of this is from Konami. The original arcade was programmed by Hiroyosa Machiguchi, Mitsuo Takamoto, Toshiaki Takatori, and Ikuko Minoa, and visuals by Jun Sakurai, Miki Yoshikata, and Ikuki Bando, and was released in 1986 on the Konami GX400 system. There you go. It was a pretty big hit in the arcade, being the top-grossing arcade game on the Japan's gaming charts between September and October 86. And in 1997, Electronic Gaming Monthly rated the NES version of this game the 76th best console video game of all time, calling it one of the coolest shooters ever. There you go. Lots of stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go. So, this is the C64 version, obviously. It was ported by Imagine. It was with the team of Peter Barron on coding duties, Bob Stevenson on visuals, and Mark Cooksey on music. So, this is a multi-load game. And whilst the arcade original has 6 levels, this version has just the 4. Gives us levels 1, 2, 3, and 6 from the arcade version. So we're missing out 4 and 5. But, it is what it is. These versions of the levels that we do get, they're pretty spot on to the arcade version, I have to say. All the component parts and even the end level bosses as well, they're all there. So every section of them, it's all there, which is pretty impressive, especially with some of these bits, what they've managed to do in this game. The game itself starts with a title screen that's ripped straight from the arcade. It's quiet, there's no music. It is literally just like the arcade version. I had a look and I played it, and it is just that arcade. It says Salamander in the logo, it's press start and whatever, and that's it. So it's exactly like that. So you may think, oh, it's a bit, where's the music? There is no music to put, so there isn't. There you go. The interesting thing about this, pressing fire gets us in. This version is single player only. The arcade version had a 2-player mode where you could play together, where one of you was the Vic Viper and one of you was in the Lord British. I can't remember what the ship was called. So that's gone. This is just a single player game on the C64. But, it's kind of easy to see why with the amount of stuff on screen. And to be honest, it's not that great of a loss. This works perfectly bloody well as a single player shoot 'em up. So the first level sees us scrolling left to right, shooting waves of enemies. We pick up power-ups. So one of the big differences between this and Nemesis is that the power-ups are automatically activated when you pick them, when you grab them. You don't have to activate them or anything, rather than having to select them from a list along the bottom and grabbing one tokens basically to move along and then selecting it. They're just there. It does miss the speech from the arcade version, so they're pick it up for multiple, pick it up for ripple laser. That they're gone, and fair enough. There's so much going on. I'm not surprised, but all the power-ups are actually there. So the power-ups include multiple, so that which you can have 3 satellites trailing you, and they all shoot out whatever you're shooting out. So that's all good. So they'll, these little satellites sort of trail behind you. You get missiles which fire up and down and track along the ground. So they fire up sort of top diagonal and bottom diagonal, and when they hit the ground, they sort of track along it and hit anything that's in there. You can get ripple laser, which fires out like a growing circle of laser fire. It's like this sort of, it's like a circle, and it sort of grows as it goes along. Laser fire, which fires lasers in a straight line. You get speed ups, which do exactly that. And you can pick up a shield, which can take up to 3 hits before being destroyed. Now, the good thing is that some of these, they can work in tandem with each other. So you can pick up 3 multiples, you can get the missiles, and you can have ripple laser all working together. It's not one and you're done. You can have them all working. The only ones that sort of swap in and out are the ripple laser or the lasers. You can only have one of those. But all the rest, they all work in tandem. So you can be firing diagonally in both directions. You can have these massive ripple lasers, these massive circles all coming from the multiples. It's just loads of firepower. It's really good in that respect. And that is exactly like the arcade game. And it does that in here as well. It's spot on. As you progress through the first level, you must navigate sort of these worm things that come out from the top and bottom. Again, just like the arcade game. There are waves of enemies. There's big teeth-like things, like fangs that sort of come up from the ground and from the ceiling that sort of come in. You sort of fly through them.
Horn things.
Yeah. There's respawning elements, like these sort of organic elements to it, which you kind of have to blast your way through, but they kind of respawn behind you, so you've got to keep shooting to make your way through these little sort of gaps that you create. And then there's an end of level boss, which is like a big brain with a sort of proboscis-y thing which you have to destroy as well. If you get through them, you get to the second level. This is where it gets interesting, because at this point it switches to a vertical scrolling shmup, so it changes. So we've had horizontal, now we go vertical, and now we're flying through space. You've got loads of asteroids to contend with, loads of enemies coming down in waves firing at you. You've got lasers and it's just chaos. It's really chaotic, but it is very well done at this point. So the boss here is a long-limbed spaceship, just like the arcade game. So it spins around. It's got a really fast sort of spin, and then it sort of slows down. You've got to sort of fly around, keeping itself within its kind of action to sort of shoot it in the middle to take it down. Level 3 sees us back to a side-scrolling game, and we're in a sea of flames, heading to a massive flaming dragon as the boss, which is, again, just like the arcade level 3. Finally, level 4, or 6, as it is in the arcade, has us flying over a more industrial landscape before escaping at the end and completing the game. I'm not quite sure if there's a boss at the end of the C64 version. There's some sort of mini bosses. I didn't get here. I watched the playthrough, and I'm not quite sure. So that bit maybe a bit different. Yeah, so it does a really good approximation of those 4 levels. That's what we get. They're very hard, so it may not seem like only 4 levels, but they're pretty big and they're pretty quite long to play through. So it's there's a good chunk of game here, and I have to say I wish I'd played this back then because. And we'll come to the slowdown in a moment. This is, for 95% of this is an amazing conversion of the arcade game. It really is. This is spot on. It's a bit bare bones around the edges, but the core game is as much fun as the arcade. The graphics are top notch. They're really good. All the levels being really excellent C64 approximations of the arcade. But the standout has got to be that flame level. It's incredible. It's the huge gouts of flame leaping from the landscape. It's a really, really good approximation of what's going on in the arcade. The big teeth or the horn things in the first level, the amount of effects going on, the bullets flying around, the ripple laser. I mean, if it wasn't for that slowdown, and we'll come to that in a bit, but it's a bit crazy sort of thing. It's really, really impressive to look at this. The main ship is great. The sprites are good. The enemy sprites are all good. The big teeth, the rocks, as I said, all looks incredible. The only downside, as I said, is moments of slowdown. The sounds are also great. I thought the music is really good versions of the arcade. It's got a really nice arcadey sound, which is Mark Cooksey has managed to get out of the C64. It sounds arcadey, which is quite nice, and it just plays little burbles along in the background while you're shooting everything, and sound effects and stuff like that as well. If you were to compare this to the other 8-bit versions, the Amstrad or the Spectrum ports, it's night and day. Because they're awful. I mean, I had a look at them and they were just dreadful. These dreary black background, single color, monotone sprites with that music, I think, on the Spectrum versions. Like, horror. What is this horror? Awful stuff. This is a glorious home conversion for 95% of it. And those are just ugly, horrible nastiness. However, if you're going to review this and look at this properly, it's such a shame that the end of level bosses are played by really flickery slowdown. And it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're that much different to what we saw in Alien Syndrome. Not much bigger or anything other than any different. And they didn't suffer from that. So I don't know what's happened here. They're really flickering. It slows down so much, especially when you've got so many bullets and stuff. It don't ruin it because for the most part of this, and there's some bits that happen through the levels as well every now and again, but for the most part of this, it's very smooth, it's very fast. It's just just these moments of slowdown really do, take you out of it a bit. And I was like, but it just is what it is. I can't get around it. It's just one of those things. There's no lives on screen. You don't know how many lives you've got left. The UI is just simply a score in the top left corner, and that's it. But there's loads of action going on. I'll be honest, the C64 shooters go, this is an absolute cracker. And even with the slowdown, even with the flickering, this might be my favourite one I've played. I absolutely adore, because I adore Salamander in the arcade. I absolutely love it. And I know it's got slowdown, I know, but the majority of this game, just the fighting and the shooting, and it's the ripple laser and everything like that. I just felt it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed this. It's just the feeling of power this game gives you within about 20 seconds. Just shoot the first few waves, and you've got 3 multiples, ripple laser, missiles, and it's just death, and you just feel ace. And if it wasn't for that slowdown, this would be probably, people would speak about this in the top 10 C64 games, I think. But it has got that slowdown. It can't be ignored. I don't think it ruins the experience, or at least it didn't for me. I thought this was a, almost 100% proper triumph. I don't think you could get closer to the arcade of Salamander than what they've managed to get through here. I'd really enjoyed playing this. It's that slowdown, and you have to mention it. And I don't want to be too harp on about it too much, because, like I said, about 95% of the game feels amazing and is really good fun. So I know, just a bit slowdown. So I loved it. What about you?
It's a very competent shooter, Salamander. It felt and plays and is a lot like Nemesis. There's no way around it.
Oh, yeah.
You put them side by side, they're arguably almost the same. It's a bit more slick around the edges, Salamander, than that, though. There is a lot going on, and there's no denying it. And I think perhaps you're a little bit overpowered in this one, which means that it's actually quite easy. But that's, it gets harder. That's a good thing. So at least it's got that, it's got an in. Some of these games are so difficult right from the get-go. I.O. springs to mind. They throw you out immediately. This one doesn't. It's actually the opposite. So it's a nice in. And if you die, you can pick up the little hover things, and you can soon, maybe not as powered as you were, but you still got some of the powers.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not trying to cram to hit the space bar to get your power ups or anything like that. So you've got it all works nicely as a shooter. Graphics are really good in this. I think they're really nicely shaded, and they kind of work really well. The way that they've engineered it is actually very, very clever. So when you get the worm creatures and the things like that, it actually all feels like a really, really competent game. I really enjoyed it. I remember playing it back in the day and thinking it was really good and better than Nemesis. And I really like Nemesis.
Yeah.
So this is really good. And yes, you're going to encounter the slowdown bug. That is a shame. That is a great shame. Nemesis had it, though. Nemesis had the bug. I.O. didn't. I don't remember, or maybe it did. But I think maybe they're just, you're pushing this machine to its absolute capacity in terms of characters and sprites and all the stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a little bit of bug show because you really are pushing the machine to the max. I think even the only shoot 'em up that perhaps tops this in my mind is Catechus. Because Catechus is a lot better than this, and that's saying something. It really is.
We've got Armorlight as well coming, haven't we? I can't remember.
Yeah, Armorlight's another good one. Neither of them that isn't as good as Catechus is. Hands down, the best shooter on the C64, side-scrolling by miles, and you'll get to see that when we get to it. But that said, even that I think still has, because like I said, you're at the cutting edge of what this machine's capability are in 64. You really are getting absolutely everything you can. I mean, when you press fire and you've got all the weapons in this game, it's not like some of the other shooters we've seen where there's a couple of bullets go up, a couple of bullets go down, a couple of bullets shooting out. There is bullets everywhere.
Yeah.
And that is impressive. It's impressive that we've gone from games where they barely could get one bullet to shoot to this. It's impressive, but you're at that cutting edge of you're at the cusp of what is visually capable inside of having the game logic and everything else. You're at that right at the edge of where you can take it. I thought this was a really good shoot 'em up. I really enjoyed it. It's the right balance of difficulty and interesting for me. Take all that story nonsense aside, didn't need any of that. I got straight in. Dead simple to get into. I like the low visual UI. They're just having the score keeps it nice.
Yeah,
but it's valuable to just keep it that way. One of the great things about that budget shooter that we saw was that it didn't have a UI. You don't need it. No, I just want to blow things up and shoot things. It gets in the way, so keep it minimal. It's really good. Yes, it's a pity about the bug, and you're going to come across that. And I know we've criticised other games in the past for having that kind of multiplexer type, raster cycling, bad line error kind of thing where it just sort of judders. But my thinking here is that like I've said, this machine is being stretched to its absolute capacity of what it can show visually in terms of how it displays stuff. So I'll give it a little bit of leeway there because you're pushing the envelope here.
Same here.
And I thought this was really good. To cram all that in, that ain't bad going, is it? It's really good. So go play it. Go play it. It's one of the best shooters on the C64. It's in an elite group. Go play it. It's very, very, very good.
Those flame effects on level 3 are astonishingly good.
Yeah, it's genuinely
it's Bob
brilliantly put
Stevenson
together.
doing Bob Stevenson, and Bob Stevenson is possibly the best. One of the best artists on the machine.
He's a great pixel painter. He is one of the great pixel painters, and it shows here because he's just got the look right. Salamander, go play it. Definitely go play it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ace. I really, really enjoyed it. And also as well, I mean, if you don't actually believe us, then why not have a listen to what Bastish64 thinks?
The legend that is Bastish64, the legend. Let's just put that there because he is.
He is, absolutely. So if you don't believe us, have a listen to what he says.
Salamander was one of those really hotly anticipated games I was waiting to play on my C64. I mean, just those full-page magazine adverts just added to my desire to play it with the big metallic beast, like something of a heavy metal album of the day. I'd played the arcade a lot, so I knew it pretty well, but I had no illusions about home ports, with Pac-Man on the Atari 2600 scarring me for life. When I eventually got my bootleg copy, of course, I was simply blown away. It really felt like I was playing the arcade version. It felt silky smooth, and visually it was amazing, looking 8-bit version of the Konami arcade game. What I loved especially was how powerful the game made you feel real quick. A very arcadey trope to make you like a game quickly so you'll insert more coins. Salamander with its multiple drones, massive laser fire spread, outfilling the screen with shoot 'em up death. It just nailed that chaotic nature. Just like the arcade, the game also flipped from horizontal levels to vertical, which feels like a nice change of pace with bosses that are tricky at first, but once you know their weaknesses can be taken out really quickly. The coding team of Peter Barron and Bob Stevenson only worked on 2 games together, both classic C64 titles in my opinion, with this and the excellent System 3 platformer Myth: History in the Making. Bob Stevenson's graphics are absolutely gorgeous as usual, taking all the shoot 'em ups he had done before such as Delta, I.O. and Mega Apocalypse and fusing them into this visual feast for the eyes. Mark Cooksey, who almost never makes a bad Sid tune, delivers yet again with some great interpretations of the Konami arcade soundtrack, each level getting its own epic tune. Besides some sprite flickering when things get really mental and busy, and the game not having all the arcade levels, which honestly never really bothered me, what's here in the C64 version is the best of the arcade, delivered in an exceptional package by Imagine, and I think Zapp's overall rating is pretty well justified.
See? Told you.
Yeah,
Even he likes
well,
it.
Of course he does.
Because that man's got taste.
Yeah, what can you say? I agree with everything he said. I endorse his product.
It changed my life.
It changed my life. My patent for hair looming. No, in all fairness, thank you very much, Bastich64, for throwing nearly 2 pennies worth there. Absolutely in agreement. Salamander, go play it. For goodness sake, what are you waiting for? Go and play it. It's one of the greats.
And if you want a good laugh, we do it sometimes, but just go look at the Amstrad and Spectrum versions. They're dreadful.
Yeah, pity them.
Dreadful.
Pity them.
Awful. I think the thing is, this is what, this kind of game is what the C64 was built to do, wasn't it? With its hardware sprites.
Pretty much.
And scrolling, a register, as you keep saying, for scrolling the screen. And character-based stuff that you could sort of draw and animate and things like that. This is it. Here you go. This is what the machine can do. And this is what it was built to replicate from the arcade, not vectors, not those 3D stuff. It wasn't ever built for that. It was built for this. And, when we get these things looking like they do, working like they do, it's always a good thing. Yeah, I was really glad I played this. There we go. Salamander. What a great game. Best version on the home computers anyway, by far. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to our next one. See what's coming up next. And Graham, this is over to you. I had the pleasure of the first game, which usually means the second one is also good. So tell us all about I-Xera.
I-Xera. There's a reason why none of the Patreons wanted to review this one.
That's true. Nobody's commented on this one.
So I-Xera, that's I-Xera, so I-Xera, is a 13% monumental game, mega game. It's not published by the Powerhouse, our budget CRL friends, or they used to be for a while. They were in the budget wing of CRL before CRL went get lost. Then they were overtaken by somebody, and then ran out of money instantly because they were in a whole world of debt. They were surprised, really. So I don't know really who was the coding behind this.
It was what's his face? The guy who did Oops.
Jason Kendall, is it?
Yes, the guy who did Oops.
Yeah, so Jason Kendall did it, and the music by Hagar, also known as Wally Beban, I believe. I'm not going to go and read the brief off the inlay because it is ultra brief. I'll just summarise that, and also there's a whole bunch of tips and things. I'm not going to do all that. It's stupid.
The plot to this.
So, for God's sake, someone has stolen the XI logo brand of the I-Xera Corporation. There's some kind of intergalactic police force. For reasons unknown to logic and rationale, they have split the logo into 4 pieces and hidden it in a soap bubble factory. Why? Why that?
Why not?
Why would you need a factory to create soap bubbles? What kind of enterprise needs soap bubbles on an industrial scale that would require you to have a factory that made them?
I'm thinking nightclubs in sort of South Europe.
But that doesn't require a factory to make them. Just a bar of soap will make you soap bubbles. You don't need a factory for that. Anyway, in this, you play as a robot, and you must explore said bubble factory and find the interdimensional storage unit, and then find and collect the 4 missing pieces of your logo and then escape. The factory is knee-deep in annoying attacking robots and such, which you can shoot or avoid, as otherwise they will drain your battery if you collide and go near them. Also, you've got a laser temperature, which may go too high if you hammer it, so you can't do that. You can recharge your battery at the recharge points when you find them. And ultimately, your goal is to get your stuff and bugger off. Cue the exploration of a load of flick screen levels. And, well, that's kind of all the game's about.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the reasonable music, and the music is quite reasonable, it's actually misleading because you think, music does make it sound better than it is. Your robot sprite looks like a pumping yellow vibrator.
Yes, it does.
Which is a bit unpleasant. The levels are generally a drab series of grey pipes, although for some reason I've written crab series of grey pipes.
Which would be more enjoyable.
Would be more, but it's not that. It's a drab series of grey pipes, blocks, shapes, and metal girders. You must scoot /pulse/slide, I guess.
Just
the jury's out on exactly what you're doing. With the joystick in the directions, fire, shoots, and if you find switches or things to pick up, you press down and that will activate, pick up, do them. Periodically, you'll find switches on the wall, which you have to activate to open doors, and that's it.
Yep.
What you've got here is a dreary, dull game. I mean, it's dull looking. You look at it and it is a yellow vibrator in a sea of grey. And that's not good. And this is the equivalent of this is OAP porn, actually. A vibrator in a sea of grey, isn't it? And nobody wants that. Nobody. So horrible. It's not pleasant to play at all. It's utterly devoid of fun. Utterly devoid. I mean, it's impressive that they've created a game that's so devoid of anything interesting and fun.
Yeah.
That I think actually the game just colourlesses itself. As you play it, just decides that it's just dull. It's just an endless exploration of a series of dreary grey screens that all kind of look the same as well. And you're disguised as a vibrator. I don't want to be a vibrator. So no, 13% was generous. This is just rubbish. Utterly, utterly rubbish. Not good. Not good at all. No. There's nothing redeemable about this at all. And isn't even recorded on a BASF tape. No.
Well,
bloody rubbish. I mean, that's it. I'm not saying any more about it because it doesn't deserve any more attention. The price for this monstrosity, I think it was $1.99.
It's £2. Yeah.
I haven't written the price down, but that's £2 too much. No thanks. No. Did you like it?
I didn't like it. No, I'm probably not as down on it as you. I was at first when I first played it because I was like, "What the hell is this?" But I think overall it's a really basic. It is functional. There are some bits to this flick screen. It's a flick screen adventure game that just, as you rightly say, it suffers
boring.
from a lack. It suffers from a lack of identity to the rooms. They all look the same and they don't follow the same rules. Sometimes you can just walk through those crate things, and sometimes you have to jump over them. It's annoying me. I found myself getting lost very quickly because there's a couple of reasons to this. Each room looked the same, so I didn't know really where I was going because there's just a series, like you said, it's just a series of grey pipes and floors and
endless
things.
Grey rubbish.
Yeah. So there's no visual hook to sort of navigate by. Everything just looks the bloody same. And because I didn't really sure what was going on, and because it moves pretty fast. I mean, you move for one of these games. At least you move quite nippily. You're not slow, and the enemies are not too annoying. So you're whipping through screen after screen after screen after screen, and you're like, I have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing or anything. Because there's no kind of hook. There's no thing. It's just you're moving so fast between throughs that it's impossible to kind of keep you in your head where you're going. Like you, I did quite like the main in-game tune. I thought it was quite nice. It feels quite melancholic, I thought.
Yeah, it's good.
But the visuals, they're just not distinct enough to enable you to get a solid grasp of where you are or you need to go. There's no, just all looks, it's the same. It's £2. I think 13% is a bit harsh on this. I think it does work. You can flip up things. I mean, I like the way. The one thing I did like is the way you've got to get your power back at the batteries. So you get the batteries, and you've got that little mini game trying to get it to the higher thing.
You can only do it a few times though, and that's it. You can't ever do it again.
You've got four chances to sort of get your power back, and then you've got to find different batteries. So I didn't mind that. You kind of got to work that out. It works. It's it's competent. It's just barren. It's barren and samey, and it just needed something else. If these kind of games are your thing, flick screen adventure things. They're not for us, but you just go play the Magic Knight games or something like that. They're better than these things, which is a similar sort of flick screen adventure-y type
play
thing.
Play Future Knight, but if you're going to play something like of this intense dreariness, play Future Knight if you want to explore more grey.
Yeah, you could do. There's nothing terribly. It's just bland and boring and dull. And after a while,
those are bad things, though.
I know, but I don't.
You keep saying, "No, there's nothing bad about it apart from its blandness and its boringness." It's boring. It's rubbish.
I don't think it's 13% bad. 13% is your Bob Winners and Lee Enfields, and I don't think it's down there.
In amongst that lot for me.
Right. Fair enough, but it wasn't free. Think if someone had come along and we'd said, "Look, your programming's fine. We just need to make some levels and these graphics a bit better, and navigation a bit clearer." But it ain't great. I mean, it's probably in the 20s.
You're being
for me.
far too kind.
Yeah, maybe I am. I just don't think it's as bad as some of the stuff we've seen recently that got lower scores. It's no Chubby Gristle and crap like that. But
parked in the same garage for me.
Fair enough. I did think that at first when I first actually gave it a go, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not great. It's certainly not great. There you go. I-Xera. Could be I-Xera, I suppose. 1-0, which would be 1-0, which would be 10%. There you go, if you're in that kind of mind. Oh, whatever. I-Xera. Don't play it. It's not very good. It's a proper, like, we play it so you don't have to, that one, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, it's one of those.
There you go. Let's move on then. That's I-Xera.
This is Professor Brian Strain, aka the Mighty Brian, from the pages of Commodore Force, and you're listening to Zapped to the Past.
And we've got our next one. This is a full pricer. Oh, God Lord. This is Blood Brothers. What? It's $9.99. It's got 39%. This is a stupid pain in the ass game.
Yep.
From the get-go. It's stupid. It's stupid and it's a pain. I read the manual, and even after reading the manual, I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't understand what I was supposed to do. It's so vague in its instructions and what you're supposed to do with this over-elaborate story and then crap actual telling you what to do. I could never sure from the beginning whether I moved right or left. It would put me in my jetbike or whatever it was for platforming. It's just all over the place. This game's a mess. Anyway, Blood Brothers. Story is, whilst out doing brotherly stuff, the Scorpions, an evil race of arseholes, came in, burnt your home down. This is what they called Kren and Hank or something. I can't remember the names. I hadn't noted down. So two brothers are out doing brotherly stuff. While they're away, the Scorpions, who are an evil race of arseholes, they come in, they burn their house down, they killed their parents, and they stole your snake. And that is what grieved them the most. Or might not have done. Anyway, the brothers vowed to avenge all this, and they made the ultimate pact and became blood brothers. So they shed blood, even though they were actual brothers.
Fresh blood.
That seems pointless. They already share blood. They're brothers. That's the whole point, isn't it?
It's not good.
Usually two people who are not brothers share blood to become blood brothers.
This explains a great deal about this stupid game.
Yeah, anyway, that's the plot, for much as it is. So you've gone to avenge yourself on the Scorpions, which I would really, really like to have been the band, but, it's not. Shame,
Maybe
really.
it was.
Maybe it was, yeah. So this game itself is a confusing mess of illogical modes and directionless options. When the game starts, you have 3 modules to choose from, each of which offers different sections to explore, I think. The main module 1 sees you controlling Hark and Kren. That's what they're called, Hark and Kren. That's the brothers. Hark and Kren. Hark at them. And when things start, you're both standing up. You've got this side on. You're both standing above a mine entrant. The controls are illogical. You control one of them with a joystick and one with a keyboard, but you can press G to swap which one you control. With which is so you've got 2 lives to complete this, but it makes no sense. It's like you're not going to control them at the same time. Nobody is. Although I suppose you could if you had 2 players. I don't know. It's stupid. So whichever one you control, you have 2 choices here. One is you're kind of on this ledge and there's a gap in the middle. So you can walk off the edge and into the mine below, but you don't follow him. You just stay there. The camera just doesn't follow it. You have to actually go and press 2. You have to press one of the number keys to actually switch the camera to follow him. It's like, why have I had to do that? I was controlling him. Just clearly I want to go that way. Don't make me have to press a button. That's stupid. And the objective here in the mine section, as far as I can make out, was to navigate the flick screen mines, collecting stuff and shooting the overly hard to kill monsters whilst fighting the physics, which are crazy. It says in the instruction manual, it says you're armed with some kind of laser fire gun, which allows you to shoot the monsters, which take around about 6 shots to kill. It's like, that's too many. It's too many, and don't say around. Just tell me. And it's too many. They should just die. Just that kind of game. The physics in this are nuts as well. The second option, while you're at top of the mine, if you don't want to drop down, you can just press the fire button. And this takes you to the jet bike mode, because that's what they're doing. The brothers, Hank and Kren, they were working on, over the time after their parents were killed, they were working on amazing jet bike technology. Now, they didn't work on it very hard because these jet bikes are crap. So you have to control your awkwardly, heavily inertia-based vehicle through a series of small gaps. It's that exciting. In oncoming 3D walls, which you won't be able to do because it's dead hard and ridiculous, and the gaps are so far apart and you move so slowly to the left and right. You have to know exactly where they are. It's nonsense. So collision with any of the walls, because you can't fly over them, just sends you back to the top of the mine. And then, or you can start again, and that's it, really. If you run out of fuel, then you die, and that brother is then dead. So then you have to use the second brother, and you have to swap control with G to make him control by the joystick. And you can drop down into the mines again, or you can fly his bike through a different series of walls, which none of this makes any sense. I don't know who made this. I couldn't find any credits for the C64 version of this game, aside from it was released by Gremlin and has music by Ben Daglish. It's a deeply frustrating experience in all areas. You've no idea what to do, really. Even from reading the instructions, the aim of this is vague and unclear. The platforming section where you have to navigate them with an overly sensitive jetpack is floaty and annoying. Before we even figure in the recoil from shooting your weapon, which is so ridiculous, sends you careering back across the screen. And considering all enemies take six or so shots to kill, you're constantly fighting the game to try and control it. Contact with any liquid is instant death because you can't get out of it. The visuals are garish and unpleasant, as are the sound effects. There's some UI at the bottom showing fuel, thrust, and weapon bars, but it's all for nothing when this is so unwieldy to control. The bike section is just as bad, with unresponsive controls and annoying noises and bland visuals and incredibly hard to get to gaps to navigate through. And very quickly, this whole experience becomes painful and frustrating to navigate. I have no real idea what they're attempting here, as none of the sections hang together. The controls are overly fiddly, the physics are rubbish and annoying, and the overall look is painful on the eyes. This is not broken so much, because it kind of does work, I guess. It's just really badly designed from the get-go, and I really didn't like this at all. I thought this was awful. I thought this was painful to play, and just trying to do overly too many things, and none of them well. It was just, it was horrible. I didn't like it. What about you?
What was that 3D driving bit all about?
No one knows.
With the walls sort of floating towards you, and it was horrible.
Yep.
Oh, and then in the other sections, shooting makes you go backwards, which is just really fucking annoying. The controls in this are just everything about the controls were a pain in the ass from start to finish. It feels like it's fighting you every step of the way. Every logical thing you want there to be in this game isn't there in the way you think it will be at all. It's completely. It's like the most counterintuitive game I think we've come across for quite some time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, short of making left go right and right go left, just to add extra confusion to this, it's just utterly confusing, crazy. The platform game parts are boring, graphics are dull. Although the main sprite was quite big and well realised, I suppose, big and well grown. Just everything felt a little bit too tight quarters and a bit close. When you're trying to navigate when you got the jetpack, it's really hard. And in the way that Sacred Armour of Antiriad was annoyingly hard when you were in the suit. Just you're always bumping into things and bobbing about and never quite getting where you want to be. And it just makes for dead frustrating gameplay when it does that. Everything looks really samey, apart from the various colour differences between the different levels. It's just, level 1 looks like a red version of level 2, looks like a green version of level 3. Bloody weird. And the attempt at, as I said, those pseudo 3D sections, they're just horrible. They remind me of why I don't like that kind of zoomy sprite kind of notion of 3D that they've tried. I think watching it going, no. It just looks utterly rubbish. This is just unpleasant, out of place. And I didn't enjoy a single thing about it. Is it Gremlin graphics, this?
Yeah.
Utterly forgettable, full-price crap. What could have been is a game where you've got two players and you have to solve puzzles together. There's loads of games that are based around that logic later down the line. Isn't there? Loads of really successful ones. Not this, though.
Well, you can go back. You get stuff like the Goonies.
Yeah, but not. They didn't obviously look to any of those things in this. They just, hit upon making an uncontrollable game about two things, two lives. Just... No. 39%? Do bloody eye, if you ask me.
Way too high.
Utterly rubbish, this. No. And I've said it before. No.
No, brothers. No. Awful. Yeah, I really didn't like that at all. It was just full price as well. 10 quid for that rubbish.
Just rubbish.
Nonsense.
Rubbish.
Yeah, here we go. Let's move on. We've got one more game still to come in this part before we'll bugger off and do some singles. So let's get to it. And that game happened, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is the sequel to Star Wars. This is The Empire Strikes Back. Graham, tell us all about it. Well,
the film happened in a galaxy far, far away, and the game happened in a time far, far away from this, didn't it? This is an old arcade, really. An old Atari thing, wasn't it? Anyway, even though I know the publisher's Domark and the producer was Vector Graphics and it was coded by Andy Craven, Ian Martin and Matt Robertson, and even though I know that Derek Austin did the graphics, the title screen, and the music was Mr. Whittaker with his Star Wars loop. I know you know that, and you may know I know that, but did you know that I know two other people who also know that?
We didn't know. Who knows this?
Well, we reached out into the far reaches of time and space across the galaxy far, far away using the Force to summon other Jedis. And fortunately, the force was strong with two people who answered our call. One of them is one of our amazing Patreons. The other one is just somebody that loves our podcast. And that is always a nice thing. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our two fabulous Jedis. The first one being David Hearn from davidhearnwriter.com. And then following David, you'll hear from Andrew Fisher, the amazing Andrew Fisher. So let's see what these guys have to say.
Zapped to the past. 100 episodes. Congratulations, guys. Adrian and Graham, you've kept us entertained with your antics and enjoyed it. Enjoyed all of it. Every episode, all of the stuff that you come out with. Sometimes it's incisive. Sometimes it's completely random, but it's always enjoyable. Now, for episode 100, I'm reviewing The Empire Strikes Back. This was published by Vector Graphics, which was Andy Craven and Danny Gallagher. So they were a couple of lads from Leeds, and they put this together for Dommark. They did the original Star Wars as well. Dave Whittaker does the music. It's a nice enough rendition of the Star Wars theme. Bit of a shame it doesn't play through the game. It's there at the intro, and it's nice, and it's nice to hear it, but why couldn't it have been in the game as well? I'm not sure. Derek Austin did the graphics and the title screen. Speaking of which, the title screen isn't too bad. It's got a nice sort of look and feel of the movie. You can see the AT-AT walker on there, the snow speeder, Vader's helmet. Luke is quite hard to make out though. See what you think. And why is his lightsaber white? I don't remember that part. But Empire Strikes Back was one of my favourite movies. Still is my favourite in the Star Wars franchise. So it's a game that you want to be good, even though you know the limitations of the old bread bin. You hope that it's going to be good. Okay, so it's broken down into 4 parts. And it features the probe droids or probots, the AT-ST walkers, they were the 2-legged guys, the AT-AT walkers or the AT-AT walkers, the big 4-legged guys, the TIE fighters will also feature in there, and you've got some asteroids in there. So 4 levels all up, that's one more than what you got in Star Wars, so not all bad. And I guess it's 74% is what Zapp gave it. That's not too bad. Probably a little bit high, but at least there is a semblance of a game here, even if the graphics aren't great. Stage 1, you're on Hoth. You're battling the probe robots. You're trying to shut down their comms. So you're shooting at the robots. You're shooting at their comms as they send them off. So you can do that, or you can just do nothing and fly around and avoid it all, and guess what? You'll still get through the stage. There's a blue bar at the top of the screen that counts down the level for you. It's got a slider moving across. Engage, don't engage. Not sure it makes a great deal of difference. You're going to get through the level either way. In fact, if you avoid the conflict and incoming enemy fire, you're probably going to come out better and survive to the next stage. But that's not the point of it. You want to get the points, right? So get in there and have a go. If you don't like the up-down axis, you can switch it with the J key, by the way. Now, stage 2 is Luke in the snowspeeder. Again, this time you've got the AT-STs and the AT-ATs. You get to fire tow cables at the legs of the AT-ATs this time. Pretty simple. Even if your shooting isn't great, you're going to knock them down. So not too bad. You can also do the trick flying under the legs to get another 5,000 points. You will need to use the space bar to fire the cable, by the way. It's not too bad. Once again, you can engage or you can just avoid it all and you'll get through the level probably unscathed. On to stage 3. This time you are Han Solo heading to the Rebel hideout. You're fighting TIE fighters. There's a Star Destroyer there in the background, or what's supposed to be a Star Destroyer. This also features in the intro sequence, and I'm not really sure what it is, but I think that's what it's supposed to be, and I think that's supported in the manual as well. So you knock off enough TIE fighters and you've got the last stage. Stage 4 is an asteroid field. This stage is probably the most pointless of them all. You literally just dodge the vector asteroids as they come at you. Then you get wave completed. A very, very dodgy Darth Vader face will appear. I don't know what happened to his eyes. It's not good. He should get some treatment for that. Something, some preferring, some eye drops, something. I don't know. But he's got hollow eyes, poor Vader. And were they out of memory at this point? It is a single load. I'm not sure, but they could have done better. You also get to shoot the Jedi letters during each stage. You get 20,000 points if you can do that as well. Look, it's not too bad. This came out for the Amiga, the Amstrad. Obviously, it was in the arcade as well. ST, ZX Spectrum got it in the BBC Micro. I mean, the vector graphics, I don't want to harp on about it, but they are a bit sad. And the less stuff that's on the screen, the faster you will fire. And that's kind of embarrassing, really. But it sort of all hangs together as 4 little mini games, none of them great. Stage 2 is the pick of them. I think, does it take you to Hoth? Does it transport you to the Star Wars universe? I'm going to say not really. Is it still playable? I'm going to say there's a game here. There's something, but it's pretty sad, especially these days. 74%, I'm going to say just a tad too high. This is probably more around the 50-60% territory, I would have thought. But give it a try. Who knows? Maybe you'll enjoy it. That's The Empire Strikes Back.
My name is Andrew Fisher. I am a freelance writer specialising in retro games. You can find my work in the pages of Retro Gamer magazine, where I specialise in homebrew, in the pages of Zap 64 and Zap Amiga, in Fusion magazine, and recently in Wireframe. When former Commodore founder Jack Tramiel took over Atari, the arcade division Atari Games became separate from the computer business, and it had to adopt the Tengen label for its console and computer releases. One of the companies that gained licenses from Tengen was Domark, and it had already converted the landmark vector graphics game Star Wars to home computers. Of course, the home computer versions did not have the thrill of the large cockpit, and many lacked the impressive sampled speech. Atari Games would follow that hit up with a conversion kit containing the sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. The arcade board is rarer than the original nowadays, so play it if you ever get the chance. It was once again up to vector graphics, VEKTOR, GRAFAIX, to make an 8-bit computer shift around the many lines and colours to make up a galaxy far, far away. 4 sections make up the gameplay. Shoot the probe droids to prevent them sending messages, take down the massive AT-ATs using tow cables, escape in the Millennium Falcon by shooting TIE fighters, and then navigate through the asteroid field. The real problem for the conversion was the repetition. Those 4 stages are repeated, getting tougher and tougher. Pressing space to launch the tow cables is also tricky in the heat of battle. The vector graphics do a reasonable job, but they are slower than the other 8-bit machines, and only a limited number of objects are visible at once. Taking down the AT-AT should be spectacular, but it does not impress here. The C64 version got an above average 74% from Zap, with reservations, calling it a quality conversion that proves addictive despite itself. Other wireframe games, Mercenary and Moonfall, show the C64 can handle vector graphics, but I myself found this one an above average, if limited, game.
Okay, great work there from Andrew and Dave, as I like to call them.
Which is handy, because that is their names.
Because that's their names. That's what they like to be called, I think, generally.
Yeah.
And they've both been very kind to this. A lot kinder, I feel like, than I am going to be. So, now, I like the Star Wars arcade. I do. Mm-hmm. Now, the vectors felt good at the time, and it was the trench run, wasn't it? And being able to do that was a bit cool, and it sat in that really amazing cabinet. I still go regularly when I'm at the Leeds Arcade Club. They've got the Star Wars cabinet, the sit-down cabinet, and it's really loud, and it's one of those things as a bit of a passage of rights of a young arcade person who likes Star Wars to go and play that in the arcade. Fine. Now, everyone kind of remembers that bit. Not everyone remembers the Empire Strikes Back follow-up arcade. Because unlike the film, which is an amazing sequel, the arcade, for me at least, was a bit of a misfire. I liked the idea of fighting AT-ATs and all of that, and being on Hoth and in the speeder, and all that all sounds amazing. But there's a reason why it doesn't quite work on a black and white vector screen when you're on a snow-covered planet. Mm-hmm. And it sort of looked a bit naff even in the arcade. Now, there's loads of speech in the arcade, and there's loads of that, and it's fast vectors and all of that, and it's an arcade. But there was just something that didn't quite work for me. And I know it's 4 levels, and then the Hoth part's just one bit of it, and you've got to shoot the probe droids, and then you got the AT-AT, you got to hook the legs, and I get all of that. But for me, it didn't work in the arcade. So the C64 version then is another vector-based attempt. Of course it is. Which, of course, then suffers from vectoritis. So, and that's essentially the main symptom of that is when there's too much on the screen, of course, it starts to just chug. And of course it's going to do that. The mathematics involved for this kind of thing are simply not a strength of the 6502 or the 6510 or whatever processor it was in the 64. I can't remember the top one, 6502, whatever its variation. Mm-hmm. And the VIC chip's not going to be able to chuck the numbers around, in the same way that some of the other machines perhaps did. So it doesn't lend itself to pretty much everything about the C64. The C64 has peculiarities, doesn't it? So in medium res, the pixels are wider than they are tall. They're not square, they're rectangle. They're sort of small rectangles. So that alters the way that vectors are going to look in any kind of medium resolution. They're going to look kind of weird. So because that has this, and because it's basically a shot-for-shot remake of the arcade, and as much as they can do it in 64K, it suffers from all the things you'd expect it to suffer from. It's kind of all there, but really slow and unplayable. And that's not saying a lot from an arcade game that was kind of not really that interesting to begin with. This feels like it's lip service to a Star Wars franchise for some reason. I don't believe there's any upping of the graphic ante in terms of what's going on in the code behind. This is the same code. Maybe there's a few tweaks. This, all of the speech and everything else that was in the arcade that sort of keeps it a little bit interesting isn't here. So you are just playing the raw game. It controls like the arcade, but it's as soon as you get too many lines on the screen, things start to slow down, which is unpleasant. It's just Empire Strikes Back without any of the real heart that made that game even what it was, which was pretty average even for that. The vectors of the original game were quite astounding when you first saw it. Quite an eye-opener. Mm-hmm. But a second game comes along and it doesn't really do anything new or interesting. And had that been a game that had very early filled polys or some description, even if it was very basic, would have been a step forward as opposed to what feels like a sidestep. So the C64 version is a sidestep along with it. It's very late in the day. It feels like it's been turned out way later than it should have been. So it feels late to the party. And we've had loads of vector games, none of which have been that good, but this feels very late to that party even. So I suppose around its edges, some bits, the music's all right, I suppose. It's the arcade in all but frame rate, really, and the speech and everything else. A very jerky, slow, ploddy version of a very average, if not pretty naff, actually, pretty boring, and apparently quite rare arcade. No, I didn't like The Empire Strikes Back at all. I don't like vector games, so it's no secret that it's never going to be floating my boat. I had a little bit of time for Star Wars because it had that trench run bit, but this one is utterly forgettable for me. I didn't like it. And what about you?
Yeah, it's boring. It's really boring. Unlike the film, this sequel, I don't really think it added anything to the first game, just beyond some different things to shoot and a tow cable, really. So it does add something. But, that makes the ATATs, I thought it makes the ATATs deflate like a punctured balloon. It's a really weird thing. They kind of just sort of sink to flood.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
It's
not good.
It's like someone sort of shot a hot air balloon out the sky and they just sort of fall to the floor. It's really weird. There's no real sense of this being Star Wars, I thought, again. Also, as well, don't watch the instructions because they go on for ages.
Yep.
Although the vector graphics, they had the different representations of the craft from the films, so the ATATs, they look like ATATs, they look like ATSTs, they're fine. The slow update and the dull feeling of everything quickly overwhelms any sense of nostalgia I may have had for this. It's just boring. It's just there's no fun in this. It's like one ATAT plodding towards you while you slowly fly towards it and then
very slowly.
Try and fly through its legs and then try and turn round slowly. It's just boring, really dull to play. And yeah, I didn't like this. I think these games relied on being sat, the arcade versions, they were fast and they had all that music, like you said, and all that speech. And, there was something very, very unusual back then. There wasn't any really arcades like this when they were coming out. Not that had this kind of production value and stuff like that. So they had all that arcade oomph. They were early versions of things that we saw with like Space Harrier and stuff like that. We said this was Star Wars, but here when you take all that away and you dump them on a machine that's not great with vectors in the first place, yeah, you're not going to end up with a good thing here. This is yeah, I don't know. This is the Jabba Wanker as far as I'm concerned. Which I know is the wrong film, but there you go.
Yeah, no, I get. Yeah, it's poodoo, isn't it?
It really is. Poodoo. Yeah, this is Bib Fortuna at best.
Yeah, it's not good that.
So I am sorry. I mean, I think our contributors liked it a bit more than us, but this was not for me. No. There we go. That's our first 4 games with some excellent contributions. Thank you all. We've got more stuff coming up. We're going to go away now, take a break. We're coming back with the singles. We've got a special guest to go through them with us once again. So that should be some fun.
The faint whiff of brown sauce is already...
Don't give it away.
In the air.
What's that I see over the hill? It's a large brown sauce white cloud sandwich. Absolutely. I can sense the bull nostrils from here. As we move, we'll go and do the singles. And yeah, so we're going to do that. We'll be back in a bit. Please enjoy that. Then we've got some more games to review with loads of new... We've got guests. We've got all stuff going on. So, all going on this episode, so stick around.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Growing up in the 80s is a chore for Sarah, who feels misunderstood by her parents and badgered by Reese, her bothersome brother who incessantly prattles on about his treasured computer games. When Reese tells her one of the games tried to pull him inside the computer, she laughs off his fanciful fib. She waggles the joystick to disprove his fairy tale and is pulled into the computer. Now trapped in games she'd never had any interest in playing, how can she possibly beat them? With the help of feisty Nell, another trapped player, can Sarah find her way back home, or is it game over? An evil madman, a hostile planet, bloodthirsty robots, a never-ending throng of karate experts, and relentless digital soldiers will do their best to ensure Sarah never escapes. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, find out if there's a way out of the beige bread bin of betrayal for Sarah in Escape from the Commodore 64.
And we are back and continuing with contributions for episode 100, special episode 100. We have been joined once again for the singles by Mr. Gary Brown Sauce Wilson. He's with us in the house. Gary, you all right?
Good evening. I'm very well. I'm a bit tired, very busy this week. Car breakdowns over the past couple of months, new car, and all kinds of tedious things like that.
Oh, your life sounds like a host of pleasures.
Well, I don't want to go too deep into that. Yeah.
No one does. No one wants to go too deep into your
Stop right there. Stop, Flynn.
I need them.
Anyway, thank you for inviting me on again. It's a pleasure to be back on Zapped to the Past.
Yes, it's a great pleasure having you, as always.
Oh, the sincerity. It's always lovely having you, Gary. Always.
Yes, and I'm enjoying my time on the Discord when I do get on chatting about
Good, because the people on there that really like you on there.
They do.
Well,
none of them on this recording right now.
Yeah, they don't know what we know. They've not seen what we've seen.
Well,
yes, they've not wiped what we've wiped.
Smelt what we've smelt.
That was 40 years ago.
No, one was last week, you liar.
Yes, it just 40 years. The stains run pretty deep. It doesn't wash off. Anyway,
you're putting my psychiatrist through college. Anyway, should we get some singles? Should we do this?
Do it.
All
let's
right,
go.
Let's see what number ones we have. Number one single for the first 2 weeks of September 1988 was "Groovy Kind of Love" by Phil Collins.
We spoke about this, didn't we, the other time?
Did,
the one with the 8-year-old's lyrics in it. When I have a cup of tea and I like your three biscuits on my plate because I turned up late. It's just stupid.
It is.
It is not his finest hour in any way, shape, or form. And it's just so boring. I mean, I listened to it again today. It's so boring.
Yep.
It is so dull.
Everyone's favourite train robber.
Is it from that Buster movie, is it?
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah. Yeah. That's why he's at the album. We covered the album last week, I think.
Just no.
No, indeed. For the final 2 weeks, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, 1988 by the Hollies.
Was it on an advert or something?
I think it's the Guinness advert, isn't it?
Is it?
At the time, I seem to remember the Guinness advert had "He Ain't Heavy Is My Brother" on it in the 80s.
Okay. Quite possibly, but it's bound to be something some advert somewhere.
It's going to be. And obviously, a little known fact that Elton John plays the piano when Elton John was a session.
What generally? Oh, he played it on that. Just like it's quite a well-known fact that he plays the piano. I've seen him.
This is news to me.
There's quite
Elton,
a lot of tracks.
You never told me you played the piano. Biddy-ding, biddy-ding, you're on it now. Get off.
He was a session musician in the late 60s, and even when he was semi-famous, he played on quite a number of the Top of the Pops albums. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do.
The re-recordings that you can pick up in trade shops. The Top of the Pops. And he went in and said, well, I'll just play on my own songs. They let him.
Cheeky bugger.
That's fair.
As an avid record collector, I have to say, if anybody finds the Top of the Pops vinyl in a charity shop or a second-hand shop, whatever, the one with Linda Lusardi on the cover is the one you need to buy. You can easily get 60 quid for that. So if you do come across it, get it on Discogs. it's going to be.
Be careful what you say, Gary. There's a loaded statement there.
Does it need to be in mint condition, or can it be stained?
There's going to be some stains on it, yeah. But anyway, yeah.
The sleeve won't open on Gary's, so you can't get the record out. It's like,
it's not vinyl.
I do flick through a lot of boxes in charity shops, and I see a lot of top of the Pops albums, and I look for it every time I'm in.
Yeah, we had a load of those albums when I was a kid growing up. Not that one though.
They were crap. They're absolutely crap.
Yeah, they're not great. They're not great.
Absolutely.
I remember one of them seemed to remember it had a version of I want to say like not Space, but what's that group Space? They did
Magic Fly.
Magic Fly. I'm sure it had a version of Magic Fly in it.
They were covering all kinds of stuff, and universally that was all crap.
Yeah. Generally like Tate. Stuff you used to hear in Tate's.
Yeah, Tate's own brand music.
Yeah, Tate's own brand music, yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the singles then. 4th of September at number 16 is Another Part of Me by Michael Jackson. It's weird watching this video, obviously, what's gone on since, but just the Jackson mania in this video, the only way I could describe it, it's crazy. Well,
self-propagated Jackson mania. He just got enough people, he paid enough people millions of pounds to tell him how awesome he was.
The crowd, they're licking it, and there's just madness going on. And it's a bland song, this though, not a particularly good song.
I don't get it. I don't get why he was as crazy popular as he became. I don't understand it.
No,
he really was. In at number 21 is "Lovely Day" Sunshine Mix by Bill Withers.
Yeah, I said last time that there was a whole slew of re-releases, probably due to an advert or something, that the Dutch DJ did called Ben LeBrand. He did the Phil Collins one.
I want to say Lovely Day. I've got a feeling that was on either a coffee advert or like a Bacardi one. I seem to remember it on one of...
Yeah, it'll be something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
He basically just added a little funky beat, and you either dislike it massively or you know.
Maybe it was used by the Samaritans on their advert.
What?
It would make sense for the Samaritans to have it, wouldn't it?
To play A Lovely Day, yeah, I suppose so.
If you're
rather something about the Smiths.
Yeah.
Or Co-op Funerals.
Yeah, could be.
A lovely day. Co-op Funeral Homes. Always there when you need us.
You've just made me laugh, and that's the segue I'm about to present to you.
Number 26 is Make Me Laugh. Yeah, Make Me Laugh. There you go. Anthrax. The Shadmocks. Shadmocks' first single. You haven't listened to last week's yet, because we did the album last week. You need to see the album cover. If you scroll up on the agenda, you'll see the picture of the album cover.
Oh,
and they
look at it later.
And they look like, so do it now. You've got the agenda in front of you. God damn it, man. You've got a hand and a mouse.
It's even the summary links you can click on. It's so easy for you.
It looks like some characters from the Monster Club, like the Shadmocks in the albums bit.
Actually, the question there is, Gary, is which out of those crazy characters in the Monster Club lineage there, which one do you feel you're most like?
I can't find it.
Oh, God. Scroll up.
Okay. There we go. Look,
it's very yellow.
It is very yellow, yes. I skip past
they are. Although the Shadmocks is a great name for an Irish vampire band.
The Shadmocks?
Yeah.
Not with that accent, though.
No.
Don't go down there at night because you might meet the Shadmocks.
Where? Go down where? Certainly not in Ireland.
I've got to scroll back down again now and find my place. It's confusing the thing.
It's not that difficult to do, is
it? The technology. It scares me.
I've never got on with Anthrax, in any capacity, whether it's the airborne virus or the band.
I did notice that the 12-inch version did contain a cover of the Sex Pistols' "Frigging in the Rigging." I don't know if you listened to that.
I did not.
That's not a ropey song, that "Frigging in the Rigging."
It is, yeah. I mean, the Sex Pistols one was bad, and the Anthrax one was well.
Yeah. No,
I did not.
Not good choices. You've made bad choices. Go back to being a Shadmock.
Absolutely, or a Hume Goo.
Or a Hume Goo, yeah.
Number 33 is Stop This Crazy Thing featuring Junior Reid. That's by Cold Cut featuring Junior Reid. This is not for me, this.
I get that. I get that it's not for you. And I remember listening to Jeff Young on Radio 1, and I heard this, and he had it on. And it was like, oh, okay, fair enough. It's not great. I think it's kind of got some kind of social commentary, but I thought it's quite similar to the Specials Ghost Town, trying something we've all got to get on. There's violence, there's crime, etc., etc. But it didn't really work. Cold Cut did obviously a lot better stuff than that since then. Famed UK producers and DJs. But this wasn't their finest moment, no.
Yeah. Do you like it, Graham?
Fair enough. No. Okay. Cold Cut got better later. This one's just a bit weird for me.
They did.
Never quite. No.
Getting better, though, in at number 37 is Nothing Can Divide Us by Jason Donovan. Okay. I reckon a sword could. I could divide
Did you see his hair in the video?
That's all I did see.
The video was crazy.
Do you know what? I was watching the video and it was really bad. And I was kind of scrolling through YouTube. And if you go to the YouTube official video, there's a post. And I'll read this post to you now. And this is obviously on the top of the post. And I quote, "The writing, the creativity, the musical arrangement, the choice of sounds used, the lyrics, and Jason's amazing vocals. My goodness, Stock Aitken and Watermower, absolute geniuses, magicians. This song is my favourite song of Jason's. Listen to the extended mix and even the instrumental version. Mesmerising. Thank you so much for the music. Signed, Jay."
Gary Wilson.
Jay, I think Jason Donovan wrote that.
Yeah, he wrote that himself, definitely. No one else would have written that.
No. Just to say about this is straight off the Stock Aitken and Waterman website, by the way. Nothing Can Divide Us was a debut single from Australian recording artist Jason Donovan. It was written and produced by Stock Aitken and Waterman, of course. Rick Astley got as far as laying down some vocals on Nothing Can Divide Us, which was a stridently synthy new saw number before rejecting it. On August 1st, Jason stepped in, making it his own. So this is a Rick Astley reject, essentially. So
not the first, and it won't be the last.
Tells you all you need to know.
I think he gave it up and he thought, "No, I don't want to do this. I'm going to give it up."
Rick Astley Rejects could be his best of album title, really.
You'll be pleased to know on this episode 100, Rick Astley has actually joined us.
Here he is. Yes. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Peter Mike, turn it down. I don't like it.
Make us some tea. Good Lord,
Nothing
man.
can divide
That's all
us.
you're here for. Yeah, this is a dreadful song. Awful.
Popular,
rubbish.
though. Popular in the charts, though, wasn't it?
Of course it was.
I think it was
Neighbours Mania.
Oh, strange career arc of Jason Donovan, from pop, from soap actor to pop person to crackhead to...
You missed out his coat of multicolored, his coat of many colours.
Not forgetting, remember, the guy opened up Freshney Place in Grimsby.
No way. He did.
With a crowbar one night. He got 3 years.
He really did. No, he really did open it. He was the guy that... Yeah, he opened it, yeah.
Is he still Donovan?
Yeah, it was opened. It was officially opened by Jason Donovan. It was.
Wow.
God.
And then he went on to do a gig in Cleethorpes after that at the
the winter.
No. Well, either of those things. It was the
Memorial
Humberston
Hall.
Fitties.
Oh God, it's even worse.
Yeah, he did a gig at the Fitties after that. Yeah.
Oh
God,
what?
His career high.
Yeah. He went from doing Jason, what was it, Multicolored Dreamcoat, and he went once he finished his long-standing placement in the London limelight, he thought he'd do a bit of a tour of Cleethorpes and the lesser-known seaside venues.
Oh,
open a few shopping centres.
Good luck to the man. I'm glad he seems like
exactly.
A nice chap.
Apparently, he's quoted as saying, "I hate scatterbaths and all it stands for," which seems like an odd thing to say, but
that's probably why it got knocked down.
No, it's been demolished now. It's gone. Yeah,
it's gone. Yeah. Well gone.
No.
Well, he got the diving board shipped to his house so he could burn it personally. But that's just the way it is. That's the way he rolls. That's the way he rolls.
Bloody Donovan. Anyway,
Stupid
number 54, World Without You by Belinda Carlisle.
I like this. I like everything about that 1998 Belinda Carlisle, and that might have contributed to some of the stains that you keep referring to.
He just ruined Belinda Carlisle for everybody.
Absolutely, the shaky brown sauce man.
Belinda Carlisle's just mini-sicked in her mouth and she don't even know why.
Everybody just loved Belinda Carlisle. She was just so attractive and obviously so tight. I went back today and I watched a number of the Go-Go's tracks, that kind of more early 80s new wave poppy sound, and they turned her around into this perfect little pop pixie. And I think it's fantastic. I've got the album on vinyl. I've got all kinds of Belinda Carlisle stuff on vinyl. And I think she's bloody great. That's what I have to say.
Now, am I right in thinking that she was the one that was married to...
Mason, James Mason.
James Mason's son.
Mason, I think his name was.
Yeah, he was. The double Mason. Yeah, it was his name. Yeah.
Oh, God, I already don't like him.
But yeah, lucky fellow that he was. Remember, we had a friend. We can't name that friend, but we had a friend who was mildly obsessed with Belinda Carlisle, as I recall.
I kept mine under my bed sheets. My obsession.
Hello.
Oh God.
You want to marry my son?
Put down your albums.
Put down. Please leave the Go-Go's. Go solo.
I have 2 procured suits that will match the vinyl cover for your album. I like the Go-Go's as well. I've been listening to quite a bit of that stuff actually on the back of a few things we've listened to. Yeah, it is particularly good.
And you reviewed that other song the other day, the Jane Wheatley one. What's it? Rush Hour. What a bloody brilliant song that is.
Great track. Yeah, I knew you'd like that track. Actually.
Really?
I knew
we looked at her album as well, but you haven't heard that yet. I thought this was all right. It's a bit bland. It's not as good as the other good Belinda Carlisle stuff. It's just got usual vocal tricks in as well. She do all the time.
I know that sound.
Yeah, the gargle.
Yeah. She should have done a toothpaste or a sort of mouthwash advert. I feel
maybe she did.
She probably should have done. Anyway, coming in at number 58 is "Turn on the Night" by Kiss.
God's sake, this song.
God, Gene Simmons' hair is just ridiculous. To any artist where you know that the eyes are supposed to be halfway up the head, that's all wrong.
I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand what the attraction is to a 7-foot-tall, good-looking rock star with a 9-inch tongue.
He's not
I don't get it.
7 foot tall.
He is. He's about 6'8", isn't he? What's
Gene
his name?
Simmons?
He's really tall. Yeah, he's really tall. Famously tall.
Wow,
when he puts his platforms on, you have to, they have to. Oh, the ceilings in his house specially heightened.
he has to wear breathing apparatus because the air's so thick.
He genuinely is really a really tall guy. You have to be. Look at that hair. That makes him another foot taller.
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
That's a power perm, that, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that what are the pictures here that you put up? Who is that?
It's just
That's just the guy with a. That's the guy with a perm.
It just looks like just some random fella you've put up.
If you click on that link, it'll tell you all about the perm and all the information you need to know about perming in general. Just,
So it does.
I thought you might need a perm link.
I thought it was something from like some 70s surf movie.
I thought it was from one from Kiss without the makeup.
No. He looks a little bit like the guy out of Enter the Dragon. He looks a bit like that guy with his, a perm and sideburns is an odd combination. Normally the poodle perm would cover the sideburn, but his don't. So that's unusual. Because of Kiss, of course, the guy in Kiss, Gene Simmons there, his perm covers his sideburns. But it covers pretty much the entire sides of his head.
It does.
It does, yes.
There's the lack of face.
It looks a bit like, what was that Soul Glow thing, doesn't it, really?
It is Soul Glow.
There's some shots. Some shots in that video. There's backlight in there, but there's some shots in that video which are backlit to such an extent. It's just it's Halo-ish. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I found a newfound respect for Paul Stanley's vocals off that track, I have to say, because I forget how good a vocalist he is. I just don't like their music and songs. They all feel really trite and silly.
Yeah. They're very lightweight.
There's something else, some more metal coming up that I didn't like, but I didn't dislike this.
Yeah.
Number 65 is "Waiting for the Great Leap Forward" by Billy Bragg. And I posted a link here, the sort of thing. He performs this on David Letterman.
No, it's so weird.
That's very
weird.
Odd.
Would anyone know who he was?
No, because he's like performing this kind of song about, I can't remember, what's it about? It's just this sort of political resistance type song on mainstream American TV. It's so odd. It's so weird.
It's like getting Jeremy Corbyn on Tiswas or something like that.
Yeah. It's really bizarre. But it happened. There's the video. We'll post the link.
But why does he talk about the Great Leap Forward when the Great Leap Forward was the man-made famine in China? Weird. What's he...
Seems...
dark.
That is just how he likes to write his songs.
It does.
Some people like to sing like Belinda Carlisle, just sing about the world's a lovely place. Billy Bragg, famine.
I think maybe his other song, his love song, is like "You've Got Eyes Like Hiroshima" or something. I don't know.
Jesus.
Wow. Get him and what's his name from the Smiths together. They'd have a right laugh.
They could do Nagasaki Nights.
Yeah. So it's like the Baywatch version of Baywatch, but with the Billy Bragg in it.
But with way worse tans.
I've got this image of Billy Bragg.
This has got really dark.
Well, that's exactly what it was. And it's the reason why it was a very short-lived pilot only sort of affair.
Did you watch the video? I did watch the video.
It's crap.
I did, unfortunately.
Crap green screen nonsense.
Well, it was like an early version of Forrest Gump where they tried to put Billy Bragg in with Khrushchev and
yeah.
And that's why Che Guevara and what's his face Castro, which is why I thought that this was really weird to be on a mainstream American chat show.
I know the booker that day they just gave the booking thing to some random Yahoo who just walked past one day.
Yeah.
So, who do you want to book? You got to book Billy Bragg. His lyrics will change your life. He definitely needs to be on the David Letterman show. Billy Bragg is your man. Get him on. Got to book him now. 2 weeks later, bloody Billy Bragg's on.
Well, his agent's not going to turn that down, is he? Do you want to be on Letterman? Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Just seeing Letterman holding his album up going, and here we've got Billy Bragg. It's like,
yeah. Tell us a bit about your album. Well, it's about the Great Leap Forward, which is a man-made famine in China. Okay, that's enough from Billy Bragg. We'll be back after this break with somebody more interesting. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's probably it. Number 71 is Oochie Coochie by Baby Ford. I don't know what this was. I tried to listen to it, but I didn't get very far.
I remember listening to this back in the day, and it is like, it is one of those kind of random dance tracks, and I actually quite liked it. They did a couple of good songs, Baby Ford, tracks, and it's a bit noisy, isn't it? There's like sampled children crying and nonsense lyrics and squelchy 808 kind of.
Yeah, the Akai sampler's been hoyed into full effect with that one.
Oochie Coochie, Oochie Coochie. It's a bit noisy. It's not going to convert you, is it? It's definitely not going to convert Adrian.
That isn't. No,
that's the worst beatboxing ever.
I can if you like.
No. It reminded me of S Express, but not. There was a lot of S Express imitators, only because it had that 70s.
I get that
disco. It had a disco sort of a speeded up disco backbeat in there, sort of, which was the mainstay of a lot of those Akai sampled house tracks, where they just sort of, not like the KLF where they just blatantly nicked an entire song and just put a few extra noises on it, but not far off.
Mm. In at number 78 was Rags by Crazy Head. I'd never heard of them. They're an English garage punk band from Leicester. Lumped in with the largely media-created Grebo scene. Me thinks someone's having a bit of a pop there. They were influenced by the garage rock of the late 60s, as well as bands like the Ramones, the Stooges, and Captain Beefheart. They've often described themselves as an urban bastard blues band, and their songs range in theme from trenchant social commentary to the surreal, but always with an underlying vein of black humour. I think they've written that. They've written their own wiki.
Yeah.
I think they could have just replaced that whole paragraph with just 2 words, bloody rubbish. And that's about it, really.
Yeah, soft with an underlying strength, which was the tagline for a toilet roll as well.
Yeah. Their mascot was a small Labrador puppy.
Is it? Are you just making that up?
Yeah, no. Well, no, yeah.
Yes.
What, for the band? The band had a mascot that was a puppy. Yeah. Oh, you want about Andrek? Okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Gary.
Oh, God. Keep up, Bond.
Yeah.
No, I never want to hear that song again. No. They're demons from another world.
It didn't last very long today, but
no. Number 89 was Don't Rush Me by Taylor Dane.
Bloody Taylor Dane.
Taylor Dane did 2 good songs, Prove Your Love and whatever the other one was.
It's a funky bass line, that.
It was.
Too funky.
It's just really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is bad, and she's pig ugly in that as well. Sorry, but
she looks a bit like Lady Gaga, and I don't think she's pig ugly. We're all just how God made us, basically.
God made us. She's fine to me, but it's just one of those. There's a load of these songs coming out. We'll see a couple more later on, but this kind of sort of funk, soul, bluesy, this kind of dancey funk sort of thing coming out of America with female vocalists.
I don't remember a lot about Taylor Dane, though. And generally, like you say, there's a couple of tracks I remember, but I don't remember really much about them.
Did you see the clip? I followed a YouTube kind of trail and ended up with Taylor Dane on The American Masked Singer. Have you seen any of that?
No.
So
I've seen The Masked Singer, but not the US one.
Have you watched? Do you understand the concept of this Masked Singer?
Only through Gogglebox.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Is it just me, or is it just the worst program of all time?
Don't even get me started on it.
No, the new one. Have you seen the new one? This was on this week's. I think it was this week's Gogglebox. I was catching this. I haven't watched it, but there's a new one where I can only assume this. So what they've got is they've got dancers with the suits on with the balls on, so they're being motion captured, and then they dance, and then there's a shot of the stage, and on the stage is a CG animal dancing.
That's a different one. I haven't seen that one.
But so this is a new one. So all I can think of, is there's a shot of the dancer dancing off stage, and they're doing all the moves.
Oh, I've seen.
And then they're on and then they're obviously compositing the animal into the stage.
I've seen this.
All the audience are standing up and going, "Whoa, it's amazing!"
It's so bad.
What are they watching? It's an empty stage.
They're watching nothing.
I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no screen showing them the dancer dancing.
It's basically a nadir for television, isn't it? They take these people with no careers or dying careers, plonk them in a It's a Knockout Europe type costume. Oh, he's fallen over, and it's just the conceit of it. It's just appalling. How do they know who take? I get the biggest thing is like when they take like the Taylor Dane clip. They took them 20 fucking minutes to get the bloody thing off her head, and then when she came out, everyone went, "Yeah, who the hell is this person?"
That's what they say every time they reveal whoever it is on The Masked Singer. It's always that way.
They don't. I told you last time, Jacket Potato in that show was bloody Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi. Richie bloody Sambora, I nearly died. He was dressed as a jacket bloody potato.
Whoa, he's halfway done.
He had his feet were in he had little butter block shoes.
Whoa.
And he had like a knob of butter coming out of his head. Oh, it's just... Honestly, when he took his mask off and it was Richie Sambora, I'm like,
no,
oh,
that wasn't
no.
real, was it? You're telling me? I thought you were making that up.
No, that's real. And the British, on The Masked Singer, the most recent series,
Richie
Jackie
Sambora.
Potato in it was Richie Sambora.
What?
They've had Kim Wilde on there as well.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it ain't
They've
good.
had some relatively famous
I don't
people. The guy from
understand how they
Busted
did.
was on there,
I
and
don't understand the conceit. I just don't get it. I can't.
well, I tell you who was on it. Who was dressed as bloody Viking was the lead singer of Aha. He
Martin
was on The
Hackett.
Masked Singer.
Oh, Jesus.
It's crap. It's just crap. Everything about it is crap. I can't even bear to watch it.
No.
I just die every time.
Well,
I see
if you want to see something that's equally as tragic, check out a TV show called I Can Hear Your Voice.
No, I don't want to.
What's that? That sounds like a bit of a stalker.
It's where they get these people on who come on and mime and pretend to be good singers, and some of them are good and some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's
all dreadful. It's all dreadful Saturday night telly.
Society has gone apocalyptic. It's the end of the world.
11th of September. In at number 4, I Quit by Bros. Wish they had. Really wish they had. It's rubbish. This is a terrible tune. It's barely a tune here. It's just there's a 4 minutes of noise. I couldn't hear a tune. It's like,
well, no, I think they got the words "I quit" was actually they waited for the producer who got so pissed off with these assholes. He wrote some notes down, and the top of it said "I quit," and he walked out, and they thought, "It's a bloody brilliant line. That is. We'll make it into a song."
Well, they wouldn't have done it. They never wrote a single one of their own songs.
No, they did. This thing about Bros, I don't get it. They were piss awful then, piss awful since, and piss awful now.
Yeah. But you weren't a impressionable teenage girl, at least not fully.
No, I had my moments.
Those lost weekends.
Those Grolsch tops on those shoes of yours.
You had the Grolsch tops, not me.
I sold Grolsch tops. I made quite a little bit of coin out of that for all the little impressionable idiots.
Number 29, moving on. Riding on a Train by the Pasadenas. Soul-influenced boy band, I guess. Not for
Where are
me.
they going? What's it all about?
Don't know. They've got like young people's rail car. They can go wherever.
They go singing on a train, and maybe they went into the little shop and bought some little bottles of prosecco to take on and snack.
One of the members of this is really ugly. I mean, he was really ugly. I mean, to a point where I was like, had to stop watching.
I know the one you're on about.
Yeah, you know the one I'm on about. He's the one who looks like him out of New Kids on the Block. There's one of them that's really ugly as well.
No, about the guy who looked like the guy from Red Dwarf.
It could have been him, yeah, but I'm on about this one in New Kids on the Block who's really ugly as well. There's always one of these bands. It's like Gary Barlow. There's always one of these that's really ugly, but he was really ugly. Like, ugh.
Careful. Gary Barlow's eye will come after you. His wangy eye will come after you and he'll get you with it.
You should just kind of just market this as Impressions Weekly.
Who says
what are you saying, Gary? Look, if I'm going to write some music and songs and that, I want you to be singing them with one eye raised because that's how I wrote them.
He's turned into
Ringo Starr, yeah.
All right, Thomas.
I was like, why is Ringo Starr talking about Gary Barlow?
Yeah, Thomas.
They're one in the same person. Did you not know this?
In the same room.
Ringo Barlow.
One paid their taxes.
Gary Starr.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the thingy, and
I never want to think about Gary Starr.
So, soul-influenced boy band is 4 words that should be disavowed immediately. Anyway.
Yeah, indeed. Number 55 is "Getting Funky" by Kid and Play.
I actually had this on in the car yesterday, driving back from London. So that's quite fortuitous that I've come to this because I remember thinking, "Oh, this is a good one," because they did a couple of good singles, "Getting Funky" and "Do This My Way," which were massive at the time. And these guys, everybody remembers these guys: Christopher Reid, who was Kid, and Christopher Martin, who was Play. But mostly everybody remembers his haircut.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah. He's tall, very tall.
Massive haircut, set off style. Obviously, I modelled my hair.
Is that what it was modelled on?
Oh, God's sake.
But yours went out in all directions. It didn't just go
perfect.
Up.
It wasn't perfect. I did it on myself.
You don't have to tell me.
It wasn't perfect. You're not wrong there. No, they probably went to a place that could actually use scissors and operate.
And shaved the sides. It's supposed to go up, not out. Yours was more Spaniard.
And a flat side.
No, it wasn't Spaniard. That was like a big, massive.
You had a flat back.
Flat back haircut.
Yeah, something like flat tops. He had a flat back.
Straight from MFI.
I love. Well, anyway, that was in the past. But do you remember that they then got put into these films called the House
Party? Yeah, I remember the House Party films.
I never watched any of them. I know who they are. Originally, it was Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff who were going to be in it, and they pulled out for various reasons. Maybe they thought they were just absolute crap. And there was loads of them.
Yeah, they were pretty big hits, weren't they?
Kind of like a black version of what's that one?
Animal House.
Yeah, kind of stuff. And it wasn't for me. But anyway, it's a kid and play, getting funky, a good track. But they only did really 2 or 3.
Did those kind of films lead to things like, was it Friday with Ice Cube?
There's a whole kind of like, who's that guy who put up what's his name, Harry and Meghan in his house?
Who's that? You sound like my mum when she's alive. Who's that guy who put thingy up? You know, him with the eyebrows.
He basically, this producer who made his millions through
Gary Barlow
films aimed at a black
Ringo.
audience. Meghan and then Harry's. Let me Google Meghan and Harry's house.
Thunderously loud keyboard sounds.
Sorry.
You go and Google that, Gary. We'll carry on.
Google it quietly, damn you.
Google it quietly. I'm not going to. But anyway, some of your listeners will know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes, that guy.
They will. In at number 56 was Heart of Glass by Associates. This was abominable.
Yeah.
I didn't actually mind it.
Oh, it was awful.
It started a bit crap, and I get that. And I like the video. At least there was some kind of aesthetic to the video, which I could get.
Just like the woman with the who looked like she was selling stuff in a cinema.
Yes, I was about to say something along those lines. She was absolutely lovely.
There was very little going on underneath the box that she was carrying.
Yeah, she was. I did notice her.
Yeah, of course you did.
But
the image is burnt into your screen. You can see it from here on your glasses.
Steamy.
It's
etched its way into the glass. Don't worry about that.
And so the Associates were one of those cool bands from Scotland, and obviously Graham is aware of the Shirley Bassey and Yellow song called "The Rhythm Divine."
Yeah, good track that.
Which he wrote, and he did some other stuff with Yellow. But sadly, he committed suicide. He had depression in 1997, and the other guy Alan Rankin died last month. So there's no more Associates. But do you know what? By the end of the song, I thought this isn't half as bad as you two were making out. It wasn't great, but if I listen to it another couple of times, I think I might get into it.
You like anything?
I just don't like. But I don't like bad versions of Blondie songs generally.
No.
There's too many of them out there.
I'm telling you now, I'm not going to like the next one.
Well, there's a Brand New World by 5 Star in at number 61.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought this was really weird. The budget for the video looked like because the last one was in a quarry. This looked like they were in a building being built. It's like this.
They were
really weird, and its song sounded strangely like Roxette. I thought
it did, and it did sound like St. Elmo's Fire as well. It had that.
Yeah, well, they're a derivative outfit. Let's be brutally honest.
Everything about them is a facsimile.
Yes, exactly. And we've said that as we've followed their progress over the years.
Yeah,
we said that everything about 5 Star is just it's like an also ran version of someone else's stuff in every possible way. They've ripped off their entire iconography, they've ripped off their entire sound, their entire look. There's nothing original about them, and that's okay if you're doing that, but be honest about it.
No. In at number 64 is Feel Free by Soul to Soul.
Gary's favourite band.
I never liked Soul to Soul. I never liked it. We used to sit in Graham's bedroom and go.
Yeah.
You did the Soul to Soul beat that became so famous.
Well, it's a sample. It's a very famous sample, isn't it? That's like,
and they used it in like so much of this stuff. And I fair play to Jazzy B and the guy. He made his money and he did well out of it. But I just found it really boring.
Yep. In at number 75 is Hallelujah Man by Love and Money. So bland. Sounded like a knockoff Curiosity Killed a Cat.
Yeah, I thought it sounded like bloody what's his name, JK from Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
Annoying, bland, just tedious, soulless white men talking crap.
Well, he made a career out of impersonating Stevie Wonder, essentially, didn't he?
Who?
Jamiroquai. JK from Jamiroquai. If you listen to half of the Stevie Wonder songs from the late 70s and then listen to any of the Jamiroquai albums later, he's just ripping him off completely in every possible way.
He was a funny bugger, wasn't he?
Who, JK or Stevie Wonder? His stand-up was amazing.
Listen to Superstition and then just listen to any track by Jamiroquai and tell me that doesn't sound exactly like that sound. It's just, they do my head in.
Strange dancing he did. It's like, could you put the kettle on, Jay?
Yeah. Well, strange thing is, I actually, now that He might be a real miniature shit who can't do anything useful, but his guitarist in his band is a really nice guy. I had a drink with him in a pub in Cambridge, and he's a really cool guy. So, just so you know.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Good luck to him.
Name drop.
I didn't know his name. I'm just assuming he was the guitarist in Duran because he said he was.
I'm Bob Jamiroquai.
I'm Bob, guitar player. Wow, you look like him as well.
Jamiroquai, that famous guitar-heavy band.
Yeah.
Number 76 is Ship of Fools by Robert Plant.
This is boring, wasn't it?
Loads of hand acting in that opening bits of the song. Loads of hand acting. Very blue as well. Really blue. Look at that picture.
Yeah.
Blue.
It reminded me of the loads of sequences out of the Dune film, the early Dune film, not the recent one, where there's all the water drops and stuff, which made me wonder if he's ever been to Arrakis and if he is in fact the Kwisatz Haderach.
It would explain a lot. It really would. It would explain a lot.
Robert Plant, you are the Kwisatz Haderach. No, I'm not. You are now.
It sounds like a lyric from that does sound like a lyric from a Led Zeppelin song, though.
It does, and the weird staining on his lips in that image made me wonder if he'd just been sucking off a Smurf.
That's not an image you need to keep in your mind, really, is it?
Look at it.
No.
It's not an image at all.
That's Robert Plant's milky lips.
Apparently, Robert Plant is a really nice guy.
Yes, I've heard
He's
that.
a really nice guy. He's into loads of kind of stuff. He's really appreciative of a lot of
Humanitarian.
Robert Plant's milky lips sounds like something you get in a 10p mixed bag in the 80s.
Can I have a quarter of milky lips from Robert Plant?
Do you want the
Robert Plant's milky lips?
Do you want the originals or the knockoffs? Knockoffs, please. I ain't got a lot of money.
Are they like halfpenny mojos? Similar.
The knockoffs are by
Robert,
Ringo Starr.
Robert kisses each one individually before they go into the bag.
Here he is. Robert, someone wants
That's the kind of guy he is.
Quarter of your lips.
Pass them here. Mwah. There's one. Mwah. There's two. Oh, he's going to be here all day.
Good old Robert Plant.
Good old Robert Plant's milky lips.
That could be a greyhound. That sounds like a greyhound name. I put a 5 on him.
Coming around the outside, it's Robert Plant's milky lips.
He's coming, milky lips.
Closely followed by Gary Barlow's eyebrow.
Gary Barlow's eyebrows falling it today. It's no good. He's broken his leg.
Oh dear.
And Milky Lips stomps to a victory there. 10-1 odds. Very good. Very good for somebody. Not Robert, though. He's not the person that gambles. Humanitarian. No. He'll kiss a dog's lips, but he won't bet on it.
In at number 80, Talking All That Jazz by Stetsasonic. Never heard of this. Never heard of it. But
this is classic. I remember taping this off John Peel, and I've been listening. And in fact, one of the tracks I listened to yesterday, as it was a compilation of 1988 classic rap. And interestingly enough, in this song, the whole point of the song is talking about the grief that people got for sampling, reworking stuff. And the point that they make in their thing is that at the end of the day, the line is, "Tell the truth, James Brown was old till Eric and Rakim came out with I Got Soul. Rap brings back old R&B, and if we would not, people could have forgot." So it's making the point that essentially, rap took a form that was essentially on its arse and brought it back.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. There was a guy called David Axelrod who was a producer in the 70s, did some fantastic albums. And he said, his line was, "I never really understood hip hop, but I understood it when I started to get the checks." So it made a lot of people quite rich.
I imagine it did.
Because of all the sampling.
And I think they probably did film it outside some Grimsby building. It was dead weird, that opening.
Kind of thing. It was like, hey, do you remember the thing we did in front of Whitgift with our film? And it was like exactly like that.
It was. But I did like their matching white suit.
Yeah, they were good, weren't they? I enjoyed them.
Yeah, great track, actually. That really good. And it reminded me of the group Black Sheep as well. And that's no bad thing because they're another great rap outfit from that time.
Cool. Yeah, I'm pleased it got to number 80.
Number 87 is Easier in the Morning by the Hot House Flowers, which just sounded like music for 80s, 90s rom-coms to me.
It did.
You were right on that. And I thought maybe instead of, a sitcom, it could have been Boone with Michael Anthony.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Yeah, I wrote a little synopsis there. It was the opening credits for Hearts and Home, a romantic comedy series starring Nicholas Lyndhurst as Barry Binns, a private city dentist who, after a complex breakup, heads back home to Hartlepool and meets Jenny Hart, played by Sam Fox, a down-on-her-luck part-time life model from London. Humour followed.
Hilarity ensued.
Absolutely.
It wasn't the best song, really, was it?
It's crap, but I hate Hot House Flowers.
I don't know.
Not my thing.
Oh, name, new.
It was
Not my
very Van
thing.
Morrison, like, and I love Van Morrison, but this, I could, Easier in the Morning, that's like a reference to having a poo, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Especially if you've had a curry the night before. Curry the night before, easier in the morning. That's that's the different thingy. Come get Robert Plant to kiss your lip. Minute number 95 is Always There For You by Striper. White metal.
Bloody Striper.
White metal.
First
Christian
time
metal.
they've appeared in our chart as well.
It really is.
Is that the only time they're ever going to appear? Because they're not very good, are they?
They have a massive. The albums are quite big, but those outfits. Oh my lord, yellow and black. What's that all about? Horrible wasp nonsense.
Massive band in the US. You can't underestimate how massive they were in the US. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So Striper is an American Christian metal band from Orange County, California. The group's lineup consists of Michael Sweet, Oz Fox, Perry Richardson, and Robert Sweet on drums. This made me laugh. Striper's drummer, Robert Sweet, also created a backronym. That word made me angry, but for their name. Salvation through redemption, yielding peace, encouragement, and righteousness. Yep, no DNA in the Scotch cadaver there. That's all I can think of.
What a load of tosh.
Backronym. No, I'm not having that word. So basically, they called themselves Striper, and then they've essentially gone, oh, maybe Striper actually stands for this. So it's an acronym backwards. They've gone back and retconned a saying into what Striper actually means.
They've just tried to justify stupidity, and that's never a good thing with the made-up words, is it?
Well, as a bunch of Christian rockers, you know what I said? They say the devil has all the best tunes, and boy, were they right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, that. It has really trite lyrics and a really weird... It keeps putting little chapter and verse from the Bible on everything in the video as well. I don't know if you noticed that. It's very odd.
Like, this was the problem, wasn't it? Sort of thing. They accused all these bands of being devil worship and stuff, and they weren't. And then we get these lot pumping... actually putting verse and thingy straight into it. No one gave a thingy. It's just as much
Christian propaganda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rock music.
Nonsense.
Exactly. Not good.
No.
And a lot of all that hairspray they used definitely put a hole in the ozone, which would have helped them get a much better view of the Almighty anyway, with the hole they created.
True indeed. 18th September, in at number 9 was Domino Dancing by the Pet Shop Boys.
Everybody likes this one, don't they?
Which is odd. Have you ever asked anyone why they like it?
Because it's got a good tune.
I don't know. It's just weird. Everyone seems to like Domino Dancing. It just seems to have hit a bit of a nerve, bit of a sort of a...
all day, Domino Dance.
It's got a good hook.
The
nice
guy in the
simple.
video looks really young, though.
He's very young.
It weirded me out a little bit.
The story of the video is that they've got this gorgeous woman, a model called Donna Botman, and I vaguely remember that PVC outfit that she wore in the video. Vaguely. I was intimately acquainted.
He wasn't looking at his screen at the time it was on for long.
But the storyline of the video, I watched the whole video today, is that he basically goes off with the other guy, and it's all that homoerotic imagery. So he's actually towards the end. It appears to be the pair of them seem to flounce around in the waves and get arrested. It's basically the character arc is that he's kind of liking women, but then ends up in being a homosexual, which is...
That's the part you remember seeing, but at that point, your glasses had steamed up from all the furious bloody fapping you were doing.
Well, there wasn't anybody in.
So by this point, the bull nostrils were in full effect and the glasses had steamed. And that was it.
Did you just say bull nostrils?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, man. I don't think I can carry on. That's what Gary said.
Yeah.
It is a very good track. It's a very good album. Introspective.
It is a great song. Yes, it's a very good song.
No, don't like them, but that's a good track by them. And just as a footnote, there's a really good Sid version of that, which did the demo rounds extraordinarily from Johan Bjerregaard.
Yeah.
Sadly, he's passed away now, but his legacy of great music, and that's one of them. It's a great little Sid version of that. It was what kind of made me like it, actually.
Yeah, there was the other one as well. There was the great Sid version of Suburbia as well, which I remember.
I remember.
Yeah, that did the rounds as well. It was on every Ikari intro between here and Christmas, I think. At one point, it was like, it's just that. And the S Express tune that was on everything. In fact, we used it all the time as well. So.
Yeah. In at number 16, She Wants to Dance With Me by Rick Astley. Can't help thinking he should have gone with the Jason Donovan track.
Yeah.
Did you watch the video for this?
I did.
Well, it's stupid. That scene at the start where he just goes and sits down and orders a meal.
Yeah. I did want to say that the chorus hook reminded me of something else, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was. and it's been bugging me, but I don't know if either of you sort of recognise.
I didn't think it was.
It sounded exactly like every other bloody Stock Aitken and Walkman track at that time for me.
Possibly.
There was the video though. That poor woman who's the waitress. Everyone keeps getting in her way. Like she just wants to take the burgers out, and it's like all these people just dancing around.
Yeah, just getting in the way. Did you notice, by the way, how loud his ooh was at the beginning of that? It's like really loud. It's a loud ooh at the beginning of that song.
You only get an ooh with Rick Astley.
Totally. Rick Astley's hair. Honestly, if he ran at you, he'd spike you on the top of that like a horned rhino.
They're all horned.
Yeah, it's just
say rhino.
He just casually turns up in that taxi. He's like, "Oh, we're going to go in here. Hey, everyone, let's go in here." It's like, just go in and order a meal. You don't have to sit there goggling the women in there. And then women going, "It's Rick Astley. Look, it's Rick Astley. It's Rick Astley." It's like, no, just get over it. Not that famous at this point, you know. He's got one song, one hit here.
Bloody T-boy. In at number 18, "Bad Medicine" by Bon Jovi. Yeah,
the track.
It is a great track.
By that. Yeah, it is.
I remember listening to this at your house, Graham, and you constantly had this Bon Jovi thing going on and on and on. So it's a good track. You know, it doesn't do anything for me personally, but you know, they seem like good guys. John Bon Jovi's down in his restaurant washing the pots up, helping the homeless, and all kinds of stuff. So good luck to them.
They are very kind guys, of course, up to the point when Richie Sambora was in a potato.
Potato.
Don't even get me started. But there's actually two versions of this video out there. There's the standard version, or a version is the one with it's just concert footage.
Yeah.
And then there's the one with the screeching, horrific shouting of Sam Kinison at the start, where he's like, "You can't make a decent rock band, we'll do it." And they take the equipment, and then it's just, you know, lots of handheld video footage sort of the band performing. That's the one that did the rounds on MTV, but
yeah,
I don't like Sam Kinison's humour at all. I don't like it.
It's a bit shouty.
So that was it. It's all he did. He's famous for shouting.
That is true.
But I remember a few years ago that Adrian sent me a text saying, I'm going down to Brighton to do a Bon Jovi karaoke night. And I text back, "Well, let me know when you're halfway there." And you went, "Oh God, I'm not quite there yet. Why do I do that?" And then it's like, "Oh God, over your head."
Wow, that's a niche Bon Jovi joke, though. In all fairness,
to be fair, I should have got that.
All of the things that had to come together for that joke to be happening. It's incredible. You had to be going to Brighton for a rock karaoke in order.
Bon Jovi karaoke night.
How long have you been sat on that joke, Gary?
It was just a rock karaoke. I was going down to sing Bon Jovi at a rock karaoke. Okay. I did it several times.
What did you sing, actually? You sang Bad Medicine?
No, I sang Living on a Prayer. So I was halfway there.
Did you dress as a potato?
No, because that's just what I normally look like.
He's just how God made him.
It was an old jacket. Way.
Absolutely. Number 24, One Moment in Time, Whitney Houston.
One moment in time.
This is weird. I saw this, but this is from the album, 1988 Summer Olympic album, One Moment in Time, the soundtrack to the Seoul Olympics.
I think I have this album.
Of course you do. You have every album, Gary. There's no album you don't have, apart from the one with Linda Lusardi on the front cover.
On vinyl. It's up in the loft. It's in my selling box. It's really quite crap, but you know. Going for good price.
Surprise, surprise.
Stop using our podcast to sell your crap.
Yeah. £2 and a cheeky banana.
That's no banana.
But this song it's horrible. Whitney Houston was just incredibly talented, incredibly, lovely, and she was let down by the people around her. But quite frankly, this song is like Bill Hicks said, it's like a turd falling into my mouth.
Yeah, it ain't good. Wow. It's not one of my favourite Whitney Houston ones. But it's just weird that they did a soundtrack to the Summer Olympics. Very odd. And at number 31 is Love, Truth and Honesty by Bananarama. Bananarama.
I love Bananarama. I've always loved Bananarama.
Yeah. Absolutely. This was very dull, this song. Very dull.
It's not one of the finest moments in the oeuvre of Bananarama. But, it's all right. Whatever.
No.
Siobhan's gone at this point, hasn't she? And the new Jackie Sullivan, the new singer, was coming. She didn't last very long.
No. Yeah.
They weren't very good at this point. When did Dave Stewart step out and Stock Aitken and Walkman step in for them? Was it just before
this?
The
album in
that's
87.
Right.
Wow, it's got obviously Love in the First Degree on some cracking pop songs on it. It's brilliant. And obviously Siobhan was there and so on and so on. But, they went. They've actually still going. They've got a new album out. There's a great song on a couple of songs on the new album. They're still going. They're still touring. We were talking about potentially trying to book them for our festival in the summer, but we shall see.
I wonder if they're a bit riper now.
Riper?
What, bananas? Yeah. They're a bit black.
Yeah, they're a bit ripe around the edge. You've got to use them quick. They're good for banana bread.
I don't like
Just
bananas.
mush them up. They're just good for mush. They're only good for mushing now.
They're only good for mission. They're not only good for looking at.
Shut up, Steptoe.
Yeah.
In at number 32 is Spare Parts by Bruce Springsteen.
No.
From Tunnel of Love, like I said last time, one of my favourite Springsteen albums, but it's a bit kind of rocky and
It is.
Crap.
The change in
songs.
tone from the intro story, which he starts to do about 1 minute 50 or something like that, to when he starts singing at 2 minutes 37 is quite the thing. He's like, oh, there's a story about this. It's like, Jesus. It's like,
But did you notice on that video? There's two things. The first thing is that whole intro doesn't exist on the album. There's a release that had the intro,
and it's 7 minutes long, this video as well. Which
but it's actually from a gig in Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Did you notice on the?
No, I did not.
video?
No.
Yeah, DVD. It's like pictures of
Wow.
like 80s Sheffield and Sheffield people in blue jeans.
Maybe he's cottoning on to that transit or bus call, that thing, what we saw, what was it, Saxon or Magnum recently.
Oh, yeah,
when they
Magnum,
did that, they did that song with the video, which was the tour of the Britain's motorways.
Yeah, they had the M1 and the M.
M25.
The M1, principally.
Yeah, it was rubbish.
The M62.
Number 33, Turn It Into Love by Hazel Dean. No.
This was a Kylie song that Stock Aitken and Waterman decided that Kylie never released it as a single. And Stock Aitken and Waterman sat there and they thought, that's a cracking single, isn't it? We should put it out. Who are we going to get to do it? Hazel Dean comes in. Right. So now we've got a situation where Stock Aitken and Waterman are just cannibalizing their own songs.
Yeah. Well, they're giving a rejected Rick Astley one to Jason Donovan, you know.
Yeah, but to be fair, you know, even stuff like Beyonce and Rihanna, they all get offered songs.
Oh, yeah,
and so on and so
absolutely.
on. It bounces around all over the place, and some works for some, and some works for
The
others.
classic Cher track went around loads of people, didn't it? Do you believe in life after
I
love?
believe in love.
That went round
love.
loads of people before Cher did it. Same with Hit Me Baby One More Time did as well, if I remember
Yeah,
rightly.
they all do. They all go to various people.
Yeah,
And
they did.
It ends up where it ends up.
It does. What's next? Number 37 is Fake 88 by Alexander O'Neill.
I don't like Alexander O'Neill. I never really liked him. I kind
No one
of
does.
semi kind of accepted Fake, but this version was obviously a getting on the bandwagon for house songs, and it's lost any of the pretense of the original.
It ain't
It's
great.
Really bad.
It ain't great.
It's really
Yeah.
bad.
Number 40, it's Your Money I'm After Baby by The Wonder Stuff. As I've noted here, his face is in this video far too much and ruins what is
It
a
is,
decent
it
enough
is.
tune. Just get out of it, Miles Hunt.
Why? Why does he need to put his pug ugly mug there in everything? Oh my god! It's just
Too much chroma key for my liking in that bloody video.
there was a lot of chroma key.
Loads
and
of
it was
it.
like it was a bit of a
B-Tech
B-Tech
Productions
video.
present. Yeah,
It
bloody well
was,
was.
yeah.
I've seen better B-Tech videos. We've made better B-Tech videos than that in our
True.
It
past
was very
history.
sixth form, and I have to say I'd never liked Miles Hunt. Never liked the Wonder Stuff.
No.
Soulless, passionless, gormless, absolute shit.
There we
Yep.
go. You heard it here first. At number 42 is I Don't Believe in Miracles by Sunita. Exactly as you'd expect a Sunita song to sound.
I mean, she is quite stunning looking in that video, it has to be
She
said.
is,
But
yeah.
the song
the
is
legs and the hair.
yeah, it's incredible.
Incredible.
But the electro bass player wrote that song because it's all about the electro bass. That one, There's nothing else in
In the
it.
video, there were two drummers, and it's clearly a drum
Yeah.
machine.
They're not
What's that
drummers;
all
they're
about?
just imitation.
True.
Why? Just you don't like. Let's not just have one drummer. You know, just put two of them.
Why not just focus on Sunita? Why
Well, I
this
did. To be honest, I
stage
barely got past the
performance? then?
legs. You know, I was struggling.
God,
Ball
you
nostrils
two.
again.
Was this? She was a squeeze of Simon Cowell.
Yes, she was on the X Factor, wasn't she? She was
No,
one of the
in the
one of the
80s.
coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he brought her in, because in the 80s
Yeah.
she was one of his.
He was.
Squeeze. You've been watching bloody Escape from New York. It's brain squeeze.
Squeeze. Jesus. Number 45, Burn It Up by the Beatmasters with P.P. Arnold.
See, this is kind of interesting. That what happened is that dance music then started appropriating forgotten vocalists like
Yeah.
P.P. Arnold. You know, the classic track from the 60s, the original that is above all, the first cut is the deepest, was P.P. Arnold. So their career path is on the slide, and so they ended up working with all these producers and DJs and putting tracks together. And it's not the best track. It's all right. I'll probably dance to it in the around about that time kind of thing. But it's about the fact that P.P. Arnold and all these. There was another. I think she did stuff with the KLF as well. So
I was going to say, KLF, you got Tammy Wynette, for goodness sake.
and exactly. So Tammy Wynette and the KLF, she'd never heard of these people when they called up and said, "Oh, we're gonna," and they went over and recorded Tammy Wynette in wherever she lived, Nashville or wherever. And she didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. Singing about ice cream vans.
Well, can you imagine them? We're ringing you directly from Moo Moo. Who are you?
We're Moo
Who the
Moo.
hell are you, buddy?
You're justified in what now?
What the fuck is an ice cream van?
I'm justified, and he's ancient. When we met, it was murder.
So that's completely
Moida.
right. So Tammy, PP, all these came through, and dance music, took them to the next level, and they're still famous nowadays. PP Arnold, brilliant.
There we go. In at number 51 is So In Love With You by Spear of Destiny. I love this song. Absolutely love it. It's an ace song. My favourite Spear of Destiny track, in fact. There you go.
I don't mind Spirit of Destiny. The one that I remember is the one that you played for me once called The Wheel, and that's very good.
Yeah, they were a good band. They are what they are.
Liberate Radio.
Nice.
But I think this song is ace, so it's just quite beautiful. But, there you go. Number 69 is Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin.
You've just typed scat.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's
Scatological?
No, scat. It's
It's because he sings like he makes all the noises, doesn't he? He does all the noises for the song. And all that. And
they clearly made a lot of money off this.
Well, he did, yeah. Well, he didn't hire any extra instrumentalists, did he? He did it all himself.
He didn't have two drummers.
Selfish bastard.
I know. He's like a vocal Prince, isn't he? Where Prince does everything
does all the work himself.
Yeah, he does all the work himself, but he doesn't even use instruments. That's even better, really.
How have McDonald's not signed up for a burger called the McFerrin? I mean, that would be like gold for them. You could make a Happy Meal called the McFerrin. Come on, it writes itself, this stuff.
No, I don't know. What would it be?
It was a Happy Meal. Don't worry, be happy could be the Happy Meal, and it could be the Bobby McFerrin sponsors it, so call it the McFerrin. I don't know what's in it. Ferret. Doesn't matter, does it?
Ferret burger.
Well, it's not whatever's in it. It's
itself. We've got too many ferrets.
In McDonald's, nobody's really ever asked about where the chicken came from. From a long time, it wasn't chickens.
Time to call in Ronald. I've got an idea.
He's gone. They got rid of Ronald McDonald. Gone completely. He's erased.
Did they?
Yep. It's gone. They've erased. It's been erased. If you go to any McDonald's, it's been erased out of McDonald's history.
What about
it's
the Hamburglar?
Gone.
Oh, no, not the Hamburglar.
Gone. When was the last time you went into McDonald's? Let's not get into a war with McDonald's. Their mascots, their lifetime mascots are who they want to be. They're just not for us. Yeah, let's be very careful what we're saying here. I'm just saying, multi-million-pound corporation.
Oh, brilliant! I'm loving it.
Number 70, Don't Come to Stay by Hot House. Or Don't Come to Stay 1988, sorry, by Hot House. Heather Smalls sings this.
Yeah, very young.
Is this the band she was in before M People, I'm guessing?
But I don't understand why it's called Hot House. It's not really a house track, and it's not like Hot House Flowers. And I don't really get it, to be honest.
Because, Gary, it's just a house that was hot. You're looking for meaning where there is none.
I actually I'd never heard this before, and I swear to God, listening to this, I fell into a coma.
Yeah.
I've only just come out of it. It was so boring.
Yeah, it's not the best.
No mistake in her voice, though, was there? And by the way, if you piss her off, she can emit a whistle through that gap in her teeth so loud it can set cats on fire.
She can.
Just a word of warning there.
Yeah, well, don't mess with Heather Smalls. Or Heather's Smalls.
No, don't touch or do anything with her, or you're going to have fiery cats.
Number 72, Don't Talk Dirty to Me. This was the don't period. I know it's the slow to don'ts. You had Don't Worry, Be Happy, Don't Come to Stay, Don't Talk Dirty to Me by Jermaine Stewart.
There's a lot of don'ts there.
There are a lot of don'ts.
There are a lot of don'ts.
A lot of negation. In this
but I've noticed Don't Talk Dirty to Me. I won't. It's all right, Jermaine. I won't. I'm not going to talk dirty to you. It didn't even occur to me.
But his previous other song was called We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off. And now he's saying Don't Talk Dirty to Me. I don't think he wants to have any kind of physical relationship with anybody here.
It's lights off, missionary position with his socks on.
We don't have to take our clothes
that's
off,
it. That's all he does.
Don't talk dirty to me, and yet I'm a nice person, so
yeah,
that's what his songs will be all based around.
Hey, let's go. Was he American? I don't
Let's go for a McFerrin.
Yeah, let's go for a meal. Let's go out.
What's in it? Ferret. I'm worried about being happy now.
Absolutely.
And I shouldn't be.
Shouldn't. Continuing our Don't series, and yet number 87 was I Don't Want You to Go by the Dogs D'Amour.
Horrible.
I don't like Dogs D'Amour. Never did.
Horrible. Not a fan.
No.
Always saw their stuff at record fairs.
Yeah, the music has been described as a mixture of the Rolling Stones, the Faces, and glam punk. Not by me, Ant.
By who?
No, by anyone.
I don't know.
Or was that Pam Glunk? That's the woman that wrote that. It's a woman called Pam Glunk.
And the Paces.
Terrible.
Terrible. Number 95 is The Age of Reason by John Farnham.
Mr. You're the Voice.
Posted a picture there. That new Mad Max film looks rubbish.
The video wasn't great, was it?
The song wasn't great.
Did you watch it when he's just up on the top of that mountain? It just made me laugh for ages. Look where I've climbed. Well done, John. Now piss off.
There's no justification for having a mullet that provocative and a massive jumper, that oversized jumper in that video.
Yeah.
Sorry. The only place you can see oversized jumpers of that magnitude are in the Matrix movies.
I think that was De Rigueur in pop video sound about that time.
Oh, didn't he just? Yeah. He looks he looks a bit moody in that, really.
He does, yeah. I can't really see the point of it, to be honest. And then I looked at his discography on Wiki, and you keep mentioning how many albums that people have done, and he's just done bloody millions. It's like...
He can't be stopped.
He can't be stopped, no.
He's the voice. Remember, he's the voice. So, and also he's got John Rambo on guitar, so he'll always be the voice. So there you go.
Yes, he has.
Oh, well, good luck.
In at number 98 is Knocked Out by Paula Abdul. The Janet Jackson vibe is strong here.
Jam and Lewis, was it?
Yeah, totally.
Very stabby synth.
Yeah.
In that intro to the verse.
Yeah.
Oh,
all that kind of stabby synth stuff and going on. It sounded exactly like you'd expect a Paula Abdul track to sound. Well, she's a much better dancer than she was a singer, Paula Abdul.
She was.
This is
very good choreography.
This is not the worst Janet Jackson knockoff we will see this week, though. I will say that.
No, true. And if you want to see some Paula Abdul choreography in action, watch The Running Man, because all the dancers in that were choreographed by Paula Abdul.
She did, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or watch watch that song she did with the cat.
Oh God, it's so bad.
What is that called?
It's so bad. What is it called?
I don't know.
2 steps forward and 2 opposites attract. Yeah,
opposites attract.
Because I like the first song. What was the first song that she did that was a big hit?
Opposites don't attract.
No, not that one.
Magnetic North and Magnetic South never go together.
We're glued together. We can't escape.
Magnetic North and Magnetic South.
Too much glue.
She ended up going on the American Idol thing. Was it American Idol?
Yeah, she was one of the judges, yeah.
She was so irritating.
Absolutely.
Funny that.
So irritating.
Yeah.
That creepy little smile of hers.
Her career ended with the song I Love Your Bull Nostrils. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Golf clap for Paula Abdul. Bull nostrils aside. Lovely girl. All such lovely girls.
Lovely.
Straight up. There you go.
Lovely.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Me.
That's a good track, that is.
It is very good. Straight up.
Dear.
Was I caught in a hit and run?
Was I just having fun? Oh, baby. It was quite good, that one.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was utter bilge.
Never sing that again.
Absolutely. The fridge in the garden outside that's underground started to open.
That's it. I'm sending you a McFerrin right now to calm yourself down.
Do 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 do. 25th of September. In at number 3 is Desire by U2.
I hate this track. I hate this track.
They've started to disappear at their own arse at this point with this video. I thought this video was so wanky.
It was quite wanky, but it was shot really well.
They've got a lot of money. They've hired a good cinematographer, but it's them being wanky, and I can't be doing with it.
And it was a bit wanky.
Was it shot by the same cinematographer that did Rattle and Hum?
Probably. It obviously is from that period.
Yeah.
It's quite an influential video, and it is a bit indulgent. And the song is
a bit indulgent.
Yeah, well, a bit indulgent. Yeah.
Did you get your money back?
Utterly indulgent.
Did you get your money back, Graham? I've noticed. Did he?
No. Yeah, he still owes me 50 quid. I'm never going to get that back off him. He's a tight-fisted bastard. He is.
He really is, yeah.
So he came at me with a cup when I was coming out of King's Cross Station and just said, "Can you spare 50 quid, me brother?"
Oh, Jesus.
So I don't know why I put on the accent.
I'm putting a moratorium on the Irish accents in this episode now. That's it. I mean, unless I do one, then it's all right. But I don't know where in the world these accents are coming from.
Well, I don't know where he came from or why he did the accent. He was playing a part. He said, he might not have been Bono. He said he was. I just took him at his word.
It was Rono. It was Rono. It was Rono, the well-known King's Cross Irishman.
Irish tramp, yeah. Who impersonates Bono at any opportunity.
Rono
McDonald.
Ronald McDonald, yeah. He was there with Bobby McFerrin.
No, not Ronald McDonald. That would be copyright infringement. It's Ronno McDonald.
Yeah. Yes,
Ronno
Ronno.
McFerrin.
Mono.
with his patented
Ronno.
burger.
Don't worry, be happy, burger.
Would you like a bite of me burger?
It's just bloody Ian Paisley.
Paisley.
That's why I imagine
That was one
Nearly
of the
brand.
voices.
someone outside King's Cross Station called Ronno McFerrin is not going to have a lovely lilting Irish voice, are they? That's where if they're trying to sell you burgers, they're going to be a bit.
He wasn't trying to sell
forced.
burgers. He was trying to beg 50 quid off me, and it was Ronno.
Good old Ronno.
Now I realise it was Ronno, not Bono. I feel stupid now.
Absolutely. All those phone calls you've made to him, all that pestering of the record label.
Oh God,
all
no
those
wonder
letters,
he sent me that. No wonder he sent me that letter saying,
Restraining order.
"Stop writing to me. I don't know who you are."
cease and
Makes
desist.
sense now.
I've never borrowed a 50 quid off you.
Well, that selfie I've got with him, that's all for nothing now. Bloody hell.
In at number 19 is A Little Respect by Erasure.
Here we go. This has got a bit better now.
It really has.
Yeah. The best
One of the
track
best
they ever
of it.
did, isn't it? Yeah, easily the best one they
Indeed,
did.
yeah. And
Covered by quite a lot of people
a
as well.
severe lack of Andy Bell Bend, though, in the video, I have to say.
Yes, he's no longer doing that.
There's not that Andy Bell Bend, which saddens me a little bit, but, great song. Great song.
So, is it Weezer that have done a cover? There's a few bands that have done a cover of this song,
I think
haven't they, over
loads of
time?
people have, haven't there?
It's a good track, that.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's the best one. Is it Vince Clarke's best post-Depeche Mode song?
One of them.
Up there.
Yeah, I think so.
One of them.
Number 20, I Don't Want Your Love, carrying on in the Don't tradition. That's the 7th this week, by Duran
dear.
Duran. This is bad. This was really bad.
Everything they did was bad around this time. They did nothing good.
They forgot to include the
I
tune.
never liked them.
Really bad. Number 34, We Papa Girl rappers with We Rule.
See, I remember the We Papa Girl rappers, and there was a bit of a push in the mid to late 80s of UK female hip hop artists. Cookie Crew, God, what was the other name? The She
Nana
Rockers.
Cherry.
Yeah, Nana Cherry. And we've got here Sandra and Samantha Lawrence, pair of sisters, and they did quite a few songs. We Rule, Heat It Up, and a really good song called Faith, which obviously filched from George Michael. It's not going to change your life, is it? But,
It's an okay tune,
Good luck
this.
to them. Good luck to them, yeah.
I don't mind this
We
one.
rule, da, 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 da.
Yeah, if you can put it, I bet for people of our age, you put it on, you'd have heard it in the
Yeah, definitely.
on telly and on Top of the Pops. So good luck to them. I hope they've done well. Good luck.
Yeah. Number 37 is Secret Garden by Tapao. I really like this song. I completely forgot about this one. I was like, actually, I don't mind this.
No,
Burn.
still only two good songs.
Yeah. Burn the heretic. Burn it.
I'm happy to be burned. It's okay. I'm happy to be burned for liking the power.
What's the video? The video's so
in the
of
maze.
its time.
Yeah, it's very much
it's
so.
Maze
Yeah.
very-
with all these. They looks like they've just gone to a warehouse full of like.
It reminded me.
70s
It was another
videos.
song, and we said it earlier on, but it's another song that I think reminded me of Roxette for some reason.
Yeah, well,
Just had to
there's a lot of that
noise.
around this time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 42 is Why Are You Being So Reasonable Now by The Wedding Present. I knew there'd be John Peel favourites. I knew they would be. They had to be.
Massive John Peel. And I didn't really like them when I listened to John Peel in the 80s. I kind of got into them in the mid 90s. And yeah, they're still going. They're still going. They're still touring. Everybody, the distinctive thing about The Wedding Present is Dave Gedge's voice.
Very much so, yeah. They did that period where they did in 1 year, they released a single every month, didn't they?
Every
For
month,
12 months, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it was about was that 95? I seem to remember that being 95 and 94.
Something
somewhere
around that time.
Did anyone give that as a wedding present?
Well, they might have given I don't know. Brassneck is the only one I really liked by them.
Don't rate them.
I have to say.
I like the album Watusi, but
every song sounds the same. It really does.
Never liked the wedding present, and I never will. I've never forgiven them for the death of Kirk's boy. 12 in 1 year? You out your mind? Oh, right, okay. McFerrin's down there
And with Ronno.
with Ronno.
Good old Ronno.
Bloody Ronno.
In at number 46 is New Anger by Gary Newman. God, that video.
Oh, Lord.
It's an uncomfortable watch on every level.
Everything about it was shit. Everything.
It wasn't good.
I felt embarrassed watching it. I felt embarrassed that he was channeling Robert Palmer badly.
It did sound like Robert Palmer.
It did really sound like Robert
Really?
Palmer.
And you know what? I looked for the YouTube comments, and they were saying the same thing. This whole thing, that it sounded like Robert Palmer.
It does though. There's no escaping it. It's like Robert Palmer's there somehow, forcing his way in. Like he's taking over the minds of everyone with his crazy powers.
Yeah.
Don't like it. But that video was utterly dreadful.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Frightful. Shite.
In at number 15, Never Trust a Stranger. Good advice there from Kim Wilde.
She's extremely hot in that video. It's like ridiculous.
I don't really know what to say about
Gary's bull nostrils were literally peaking at this point.
I honestly didn't know where
He was
to look.
stamping the ground and ready to charge at something red.
He was. He'd popped his ring. It'd all gone wrong.
I like it with Kim Wilde in the 80s.
Yeah, this is a good song.
I mean, if that didn't get him going, then number 51, All of Me by Sabrina, would just finish him off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very tired after these two. I'll tell you.
Catch a Euro pop this.
God.
But this was I didn't realise until I looked it up today that this was actually a Stock Aitken Walkman production. She'd left her Italian.
I didn't know that.
team.
Didn't sound like Saw.
They'd basically taken everything that made her, like the bass lines, which was the Italian production, and it was a Stock Aitken Walkman production. She followed the money, like they all do, and it's not terrible.
No, but in all fairness, that bass line is basically boys, boys, boys. I mean, it's the same bass line or whatever.
You know, PWL or whatever they were called, were just pumping these things out like no one's business.
I mean, it's crazy now. The machine is in full pump.
What are we referring to here now?
Well,
you and Saw.
No, your hand is sore, and no doubt, and you've obviously worn the pattern off it again.
Absolutely. This man has no fingerprints.
He's worn them off.
He's a serial killer. He must be. No one else would have no fingerprints. He's trying to hide something.
He can't grip hold of anything. He's got no grip. He's no patterning whatsoever. He's like a newborn baby with no grip.
He's smooth like an android, only more milky.
And his forearms look like a bull's leg. What's going on?
Number 54. Number 54 is the is Lord Humongous's favourite track, "Don't Walk Away" by Pat Benatar.
I'd love to hear a Lord Humongous cover version of that song. It'd be hilarious.
Don't walk away.
It would have been more interesting than the actual song because it was so boring.
Benatar.
Boring. Benatar.
Also, it's the eighth "Don't" track. Don't.
It is. Yeah. Don't listen to it. Yeah. Don't listen to it.
I mean, I've said that I quite like some Pat Benatar stuff over the last few weeks, but I thought this was not very good. I didn't particularly like this. It's okay, but it's. Number 65 is "Baby Baby" by Eighth Wonder. Stabby. Very stabby.
Yes, and it's a good thing that she looks reasonably good in that because she sings terribly. Awful. She's out of tune in that. I mean, she's blatantly out of tune.
I looked up her wiki.
Careful.
Careful, Gary. When I went to see her live, I looked up.
I realised that she just hunts down rock stars to make them her husband. Like, I didn't realise there was a guy from the Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah, like a predator.
She shoots them. Yeah, she shoots them with a blow dart, and they wake up. They're married. It's
literally. She even had a thing with Ali McCoist, the Scottish footballer. I mean, obviously he's not a rock musician, but then I think she went back to another rock musician.
Ali McCoist always sounds like the way you describe a Scottish cake.
Ali McCoist.
What's it like, the cake? Oh, it's Ali McCoist. It's
Ali McCoist. The sponge was Ali McCoist.
Are you Scottish? No, I'm not.
No. You just told us you were, didn't you? Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, the track was crap.
It was crap.
I said this before, actually. They did one good song, which was I'm Not Scared.
Yeah.
Which is a Pet Shop Boys produced track, and the rest of it was just absolute.
Yeah. Number 82 is "One Good Woman" by Peter Cetera. One for Gary, this.
It was so boring again.
Yeah.
And Peter Cetera just has this look of
his face is weird. His face is looks the contours of it are wrong. It's like somebody smoothed him wrong in 3ds Max. I can only assume that the modeling software went badly wrong because his face doesn't look right. The way he sings, he's like juts out his lower mandible, like he's got to chew the microphone to bits. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's not good. And he sings in the key of Satira. It's a key only he can sing in, which makes middle-aged women weep instantly.
we're from.
And not always from their eyes, yeah. Not always from their eyes.
No.
And it makes middle-aged men weep instantly, and not always from their eyes.
Finally, to round out the month, number 90, You're Gonna Get Rocked by LaToya Jackson. Jackson? Jackson. LaToya Jackson. This is really cringy.
Crap.
Really, that opening sequence where she's talking,
Awful.
I was absolutely, when you're watching something so bad, you're scrunching your hands together, you're digging your nails into your palms. That's what I was doing. It was awful. And it sounds like ZT as Janet Jackson. It's awful.
Not wrong
awful.
I don't know if it was just the crap processing on the YouTube video, but she looked like a zombified Diana Ross.
She did.
She did look like she did look like an extra from Thriller.
Weird. Maybe she
Probably
was
was.
an extra in Thriller.
Well,
she was hidden in the back. Maybe all the extras in Thriller were his family.
Well, the thing is, I know they're all Jacksons at the end of the day, and I get it, but she does look kind of like Michael Jackson dressed as a woman.
Yeah, well, that was the big rumor back then, wasn't it? That you never saw him in the same room twice.
Well, you can sort of see it because she looks and dances exactly like him.
Yeah, it's very
odd.
A really bad song, though.
But who bought this? I mean, who went into WX Smith?
Well, not many people. It only got to number 90, or it started at number 90.
Have you got that great track by LaToya Jackson?
Just check on your shelves behind you, Gary. I think you'll find you've got her album there.
Yeah. All 7 of them.
I didn't want to say.
Signed and catalogued.
And to be fair, Zombie Diana Ross would be a great album title for her as well. So I could go with that.
It would be. Yeah. And there we go. That's it. That's your singles for this week. That's not a great bunch, but
No, I'm looking back. I think 1988 was one of my favourite years for music.
That's quite the statement after me going, not a good lot there.
Yeah, I get that.
Nice segue, Gary. Those jungles are terrible. 1988 was the best music ever.
But it was, for me, it's as much as about reminiscing and kind of, that emotional resonance that comes from listening to music in 88. It's like getting into house music.
You've been listening to Pieces to Tear again, haven't you?
I don't want to think about your emotional resonance. Makes me feel ill.
I love 1988, 89,
Yeah, clearly.
But there is a lot of crap, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of crap.
The Striper, for one thing.
Striper, but, you've bull nostrilled your way through most of it, and then you've got Pieces to Tear at the end to make you weep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It didn't really peak. It would have been better to maybe have Domino dance.
It'd be described as a tantric music year for you, Gary. A lot of arduous strain towards the middle, and then a release at the end. Full release.
He went full sting.
I need to have a lie down.
So a full release of all the internal liquids at the end.
Unfortunately, they were all brown sauce.
Yes, exactly. If they'd been in there that long.
I feel quite ill. There's many things in this world that make me feel unwell. That's probably the worst.
And Gary ejaculated brown sauce is going to be.
You had to say it. You didn't need to
top
say
of
it.
That tray.
You could have left
Someone
it.
had to say it.
You could have just left it as
You can't
as
leave that to anyone's
implication.
imagination. It has to be out, said, and then buried.
I'm just how God made me, sir.
We know. That's
we
the
know
problem.
Exactly. Which God is what we ask? Which one?
The ancient god of brown sauce.
Brown sauce, yeah.
Oh, yes. Brown sauce. Oh, brown sauce.
Oh, brown sauce. So HP be done.
Just to refute the accusation that I don't have brown sauce in every single sandwich, but most sandwiches, yeah. Sometimes it's pickle. Sometimes it's
You have
mayo,
brown sauce in more sandwiches than you have bread in.
You don't bother with the bread anymore.
I know, it's just a brown sauce sandwich.
Eliza was almost puking, that's my partner, that when I had a sandwich of crab sticks, prawns, and brown sauce. And it was absolutely delicious. Absolutely. On white bread, it was absolutely delicious.
Goodness me.
You can take the boy out of Grimsby.
Goodness me. The sauce was white when he started making it. It just goes brown towards the end.
Well, he leaves it there for like 4 weeks. It just
crab sticks.
Turns
they're
brown.
They're not even made of crab.
Turns brown with age.
Just is it fish though? Is it fish?
It is. It's surimi, isn't it?
It's not good.
It's hermit crab.
Bit of brown sauce on it. Bit of brown
something
sauce
else
on
that's
it.
gone to live in that.
Listen, you put a bit of brown sauce on anything, it makes it better.
And on that note, I
feel for Gary's kids when they come in, they've hurt their knee. Come here, just put some brown sauce on that graze. It's way worse.
It's really stingy.
It's not medicinal in the slightest.
Shush and enjoy your McFerrin.
Exactly. When I was a kid and I hit myself, my mum put brown sauce on all my injuries.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be berated and coming on your podcast.
Good.
It makes my life also
good.
worthwhile.
That's exactly why we invite you.
And that's exactly why the people ask for you to back on.
Exactly. And that's what I think of you, Harvey.
Indeed, absolutely. Okay, I think we're going to end the single set. Gary, thank you. You got anything you want to say? before we,
No.
kick you off?
I'm thankful for being here every day. Thank you for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have you back at some point again.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Right, so that's it. We've got to go. We'll be back in a bit. Gary's going to go and do something. I don't know what. And we'll be back in a bit with some more games.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Crash landing on a green planet full of vector graphics, can Sarah find a way to escape for real? Or is she stranded on a planet full of sun, sea, and chippy tea forever? Imagine finding yourself in a cinematic karate game, having to rescue a princess, or remain stuck under the run-stop key forever. What about finding yourself on a space freighter full of robots? Could you clear the decks? If you were transported back to a Wild West town, having to round up outlaws, could you survive until sunset? What if you were a wizard with a cat who must colour worlds? Could you beat the game, or would a virtual guitar solo announce your demise? Sarah might just be another visitor, but she doesn't want to stay a while, never mind forever. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, discover if there's a way out in Escape from the Commodore 64. Visit davidhearnwriter.com to find out more.
And we are back. That was the singles. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson, for joining us. That was a whole lot of fun. We've got 4 more games before we finish off this episode, so let's waste no time. Let's get straight into them. And Graham, this is another one for you. This is Netherworld. Tell us all about it, or don't.
Scored pretty highly, didn't it? 87%.
It did.
From Houston, this. Design was by Juka Tapanamaki. Producer is Paul Chamberlain. Coded by Mark Barker. Mark Barker. He knew how to fight. Mark. Sorry, Mark. Had to do that. Title screen was Darren Stubbington. And the musician here is Jory Olkinen. Very unusual soundtrack for this. I'll come to all of that. Now, there is a story here, a very long-winded story for this. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I am going to, for simplicity's sake and for time, I'll pressy the main bulk of that story, and then I'll sort of go into the sort of game part. An explorer called Hugo Thomas and his team were in Peru, investigating the whereabouts of something called the Dragon Temple. Along with a truckload of gold and diamonds, the mysterious Incan temple was also thought to hold magic powers, once attributed to the priesthood of the sun. And specifically, all-powerful ceremonial precious objects that had been offered to the gods had been hidden away in there. So, cut to finding the temple, entering the sacred chamber, and confronting some kind of Incan dragon god, who seems unimpressed with you, Hugo's quest for diamonds and wealth, on account of their magic objects and godly power being not to be trifled with, or not to be messed with. The dragon statue thing, whatever you call it, I guess the dragon, the god, whatever it is, challenges you to find 27 diamonds in the maze-like realm of Netherworld, where all the gods now reside. For this challenge, you will be transformed into a cross, a symbol of the crucifix held by and representing the failure of the Spanish conquistadors. And this will be encased in a wheel representing your imprisonment. So that explains your main sprite. In case you wondered why you were a cross in a circle, that's why you are.
Well, it all becomes clear. All clear.
They give you the power to shoot from the forearms of the cross, and you're told that you must find all the diamonds you can, as that will eventually allow you to escape from both the Netherworld and your tomb. That's right. While you were talking to the dragon god thing, the entrance to the tomb collapsed, and all of your explorer team buggered off and left you buried alive.
Oh,
so nice. Now you're stuck, and you've got to get out in the Netherworld, haven't you? Hey? Hey. So there's an entire sort of 70-page, not 70-page, I'm exaggerating, but there's an entire story with talky bits, and go and read that if you're really into that kind of thing. I'm going to skip to the part of the instructions called Surviving in the Netherworld. And it says, and I quote, "There is always a lot going on in the Netherworld, and there are a great many opportunities for bonus points and extra diamonds. There are equally as many opportunities for penalties and damage. The most common things in the Netherworld are bricks, which form walls and barriers to your progress. Some of these bricks, however, are actually secret doors and are distinguished from bricks by slightly different graphics." Okay.
Slightly.
2 of the greatest dangers in the Netherworld are demons and the alien generators. Demons spit out deadly acid bubbles at you, and alien generators produce a variety of enemies seeking to harm you. One of the best ways to block an alien generator is with movable rocks, which can be found throughout the Netherworld. By placing the movable rock near the alien generator, it becomes unable to produce aliens. Another danger to be wary of is the goat's head, which spits acid blood that is deadly to touch. The Netherworld is also populated by a number of free-floating souls, which are very dangerous if touched. Some of these souls follow the parameter of any object in a clockwise motion, some more vertically and are deadly to touch, and some, also known as bounders, fly in a straight line until colliding with a solid object when they will then change their direction 90 degrees counterclockwise. If a soul comes into contact with the metamorphosis wall, the wall will change into 4 diamonds. You following me so far? I hope you are.
Yeah, okay.
Another way of producing diamonds is through the use of diamond squeezers. If a moving rock is pushed into a if a moving rock is
right with diamond squeezers,
right, kick him in his diamond squeezer.
Squeezed another one out.
If a moving rock is pushed into a diamond squeezer, the rock will turn into a diamond. Got to be sore, those jagged edges.
Absolutely. 40 carats.
My diamond squeezer. We've had this a lot, haven't we, with these games recently? We had it with Chucky Egg, didn't we? What was it? The rusty bloody whatever it was.
Greasing the rusty minecart.
Greasing the rusty minecart. Now we've got, sticking stuff up my diamond squeezer. Sounds horrible.
This is where my mind goes.
So, thought transporters, Adrian, are circular teleportation devices that enable you to travel to different parts of the Netherworld. Simply move your icon on top of it and press the fire button and you will be teleported after shooting the aliens. Some of them leave behind glowing icons. These icons can grant you more points, even extra speed. But if more than 3 extra speed icons are used, you will actually slow down. Following so far?
I never studied.
Another unique icon is the Demon Killer, which looks like a skull and crossbones. This one will enable you to kill a demon by touching it. A Brick Smasher icon, which looks like a small brick. Stupid. Honestly, even I'm getting fed up of it. Allows you to break up a brick. This is honest to God, this is the sentence. It says, and I quote, "This one will enable you to kill a demon by touching it." And after it says, "A Brick Smasher icon, which looks like a small brick, allows you to break up a brick." There is also a surprise icon, which looks like a collection of question marks. The surprise icon can grant you one of your 4 phenomena, which is an extra life, invulnerability, an uncontrollable ship, or reverse controls. The surprise icon should be avoided by those unwilling to gamble. Right. That's enough now. That's enough. So if that lot hasn't tweaked your diamond squeezer and got you, thoroughly wondering what on earth's going on.
There's another rock.
This is essentially a maze-type shoot-'em-up game. I mean, all of that fancy pants stuff aside, it is an unusual twist of the shooting genre. There's no doubt about that. And it's playing with the notions of what a shoot-'em-up and what those kind of games are. It feels a little bit like what Whizball did to shooters in that way.
I've got that as well, yeah. I mentioned Whizball.
So, and I think it's because it's got bubbles, it's because it's got weird background graphics that sort of, it feels a bit Whizball-y, and it's because it's playing with the genre in that way. Okay. There's quite nice, odd shaded graphics here, a bit like there was in Whizball, that kind of oddness to it. They kind of looked apart, and there's really nice fluid 8-way scrolling, which sees you shoot around in your little joystick-controlled cross in a circle. Remember what it represents, remember?
4 points of the crow.
Yes, it's the antithesis of the Spanish conquistadors' devotion to religion, and represented in prison in a circle. Just remember that. And essentially in this game, you're on a quest for diamonds and exits. Now, in a weird way, it's a nice mixture of kind of exploration. If you take all of that stupid guff aside, and it takes a while to get used to what's happening in the game in this, because there's a lot going on. And a lot of it doesn't make immediate sense. It's actually quite a hard game to read and follow.
Yeah.
But if someone described Whizball to you, you would get the same feeling from it. Someone just, take away what you know about Whizball, and if someone described the game by terms of its mechanics and what you needed to do, you'd be like, what? It sounds crazy. That would never work. And yet it kind of does.
Yeah.
So this is a nice mixture of exploration, shooting, collecting. If Gauntlet and Delta had a baby, it might look a bit like Netherworld in a weird way. And then maybe if, Whizball was involved, maybe some kind of threesome. I don't know. The diamond squeezers might be very well involved somewhere along the line with that. I don't know.
You're going to need a diamond squeezer to fit those three into one thing.
I don't know. It just felt like there's little bits of other games all bolted in here. And Whizball was the same. Whizball was a shoot 'em up combined with the colour collecting combined with this.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar. It's a shoot 'em up combined with collecting diamonds. There's a little bit of almost Boulder Dash type logic about the diamonds. And then you've also got maze chase games. There's a little bit of Hunter's Moon in there, and games like that, in that kind of way you can move around the screen.
Yeah.
It's just little bits of game ideas that have kind of bolted together. Now, it's always a gamble when they do this in games. It either works or it falls flat on its face. They've just about got away with it here. So I quite like the ideas. It's interesting. I quite like the way the upgrades work. I don't like games with downgrades. Downgrades should be removed from all games. I think it's stupid to put them in, so I don't like that. But I like the way that the game that works out. There's nice little bits and secret bits to sort of find and discover in this. So there's a little bit of discovery and sort of navigating your way around and stuff like that. It is quite hard to play. It's hard, but there's quite a lot going on. And in the same way with Whizball, if you persevere past the beginning of Whizball and that part where you've got that awkward control system and you get to where you can control it better, the game starts to lift and you start to feel it. So as you get more into this game and as you get more diamonds and get to some of the other levels, it starts to feel more cohesive. And by that point, you'll have forgotten about all the nonsense about Incan temple gods, dragons, and all that, Spanish conquistadors on quest for diamonds and gold and all that. You'd have forgotten all of that. So the code set behind this, the code is really, really tight. It's really well put together, this game. There's some really interesting audio as well. Lots of guitar samples and heavy metal type soundtrack to this, which is I never expected it at all.
It's odd,
but it gave it an interesting tonality. It gave it sort of an almost an industrial-esque type of tonality, which I thought was quite interesting. In the same way that Galway's soundtrack lit Whizball and made it feel like a very different kind of experience because of its ethereal guitar sounding, Van Halen-y inspired sort of audio track. This gives it a much more heavy, thumpy, it doesn't shout Inca gods, I have to say, but it is quite interesting all the same. Mm-hmm. This does have quite high production values and it is quite a tough game, but the graphics and sound are all kind of working coherently together in that kind of crazy logic that we've seen in other games. The main window of the game is the upper 4/5, I would say, with the UI at the bottom that gives information like the number of demon killers you've got or brick smashers. I don't know why they named them those things. I guess they are what they are. They do what they say on the tin, I suppose.
Ron Seal power-ups.
Ron Seal power-ups. Get your brick smashers and your demon killers. What's on the tin? Demon killer. Oh, that'll kill demons. You've got your score on there, your current level, your shield energy, time remaining to complete level. Because remember, you've got to get through these levels in a certain time and find the diamonds in a time. That is quite tricky to do. Mm-hmm. And you've got, and it tells you your number of lives left. I think you've got 5 lives, I think. I seem to remember.
I think so, maybe.
5 or, anyway, it doesn't matter. You've got a number of lives. And with a full shield, you can take about 12 hits before you'll lose your life. So that's quite nice. So you don't die just by bumping into things in this game. You will eventually, but you've got a little bit of leeway. And so you've got a shield which can sort of keep you alive a little bit. So that's quite nice. You don't die on contact with things either. So it does have that affordance. So you're not just... Because if you didn't have that in this game, you'd be dead in seconds. And there's a few games we've seen that have had that where you've touched the edge of the maze and you're dead kind of thing.
Yep.
Some of the hidden bonus parts are quite interesting. The secret diamond changes and all that sort of thing awaits you in those. They do move at a good pace. There's a lot to like in this. It's very slick. It's quite well thought out. It's quite nicely designed. It is very erratic. Lots of erratic design components that shouldn't on paper kind of work. But I don't know if it's my persistence with just sort of pushing that to one side a bit and just trying to get on with the core gameplay and the game gradually revealing itself to me as I did that, instead of me trying to figure out how to escape from some Incan tomb, which seemed absolutely no relevance to the 4-way shoot 'em up that I was experiencing on the screen. So once it sort of, I let it reveal itself to me, I actually quite enjoyed it. So I thought this was pretty good, all said and done. It was, by the way, I had never ever heard or played of it before, ever, and yet it's considered a Houston classic. It completely bypassed me everywhere, a bit like you said with Salamander. I had never come across Netherworld in all the time, so complete fresh play for me. Now, that's what I thought of it. Now, we say we play these games, so the people who listen to this podcast don't have to. That is unless they want to. And in this instance, I'm going to turn to the almighty, all-powerful Andrew Fisher, because he's got some interesting footnotes and some interesting little bits that he wants to say about this. So I'm going to lend his delicious brain to these proceedings and let it ooze from his diamond squeezer. And let's have a listen to see what he says.
Netherworld is a stylish game and a tribute to its creator, the late Jukka Tapinamaki. The Finnish coder sadly died too young in 2000. leaving a short career of C64 titles. We should mention Octapolis from English Software, mixing a shoot-'em-up similar to fellow Finn Stavros Vassoulis' Sanction with a clever platform game with excellent overlaid sprites. Then there was budget hit I-Xera and the epic elite-stroke mercenary-style Moonfall. This was sadly delayed by Hewson's bankruptcy and rebirth as 21st Century Entertainment. Anyway, Netherworld starts up with an excellent SID tune created by Yuri Olkanen with a great sampled guitar sound. Starting the game reveals a series of worlds populated by demons and the player's rotating wheel-shaped ship. The aim is to collect all the diamonds on each of the 12 levels before time runs out. The demons will spit out other small enemies, which can be shot to reveal power-ups. The question marks can be helpful or harmful. The brick smasher lets you break through walls, and the skull is a demon killer, which means you can kill a demon on contact. If you collect all the diamonds, you move on to the bonus section. Here you must push boulders to divert the course of the tracker mine that runs around the walls, so that it hits the target zone and unlocks the next level. Netherworld has some great background graphics with smooth scrolling. In-game there are good sound effects. The controls take a little learning, especially when the question mark can freeze or reverse your controls for a short amount of time. Just a word of caution, using an infinite time cheat can get you stuck on the bonus level until you complete it. Zapped's review in issue 41 gave the game 87%, just missing out on the coveted Sizzler. Gordon Houghton fully recommended you try it, and Paul Glancy said it would have you glued to your C64 for hours. I still own my original tape copy and love it.
There you go. That was Andrew Fisher's amazing opinion. And in all fairness, he's still got an original copy, and that's pretty good going. I don't think I own anything original C64 related at all now, sadly. But that's what we think. You know, we're just two people in this world. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought this is interesting. I thought it was interesting. It's frantic. It feels very frantic. Multi-direction collect and blast them up. And as you noticed, I've written, it reminded me of Whizball in the way it controlled. So there's definitely elements of Whizball in the controls to this. It's some, you know, it's if Whizball scrolled up and down through its levels rather than just left and right. So it feels like that. I thought the visuals were really nice. I thought they looked really cool. There's some the things that shoot at you, the diamond and all the sprites and everything. I particularly like the symbol of the conquistadors with the being trapped inside the thing. So obviously, clearly, the main sprite.
You mean you didn't get that from that sprite?
No, it looked like the mission. It looked like their logo, which is a circle.
It did actually, yeah.
It looked very much like the mission logo. Which there you
or
go.
Glaive from Krull.
Yeah. So the visuals are nice, and as is the sound. It's an unusual soundtrack to this, as you've noticed, and it's odd. So it does have a very different feel. It didn't feel like a Hewson game. I don't know. Hewson games have a certain feel and a certain sound, and I think that was because they were defined by Braybrook and Steve Turner, who have since obviously moved away, and now this is something different. So we've got things like.
It's had a Thalamus-y feel, I felt, actually, if I was going to put it.
I would put this in, what's his face, Stavros Vassoulis.
Yeah, Stavros Vassoulis, yeah.
I could see that being, something along those lines. So it didn't feel like a Hewson game, but it is what it is. But then again, neither did Nebulous, I suppose, but,
Yeah,
although maybe Nebulous did. I don't know, Nebulous did, but this didn't. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get very far in this, though, I have to say. I found the controls just a touch too floaty. I found I was bouncing around quite a lot, and it takes a lot of that. And the things that come in after you are sort of quite hard to try and shoot. Even though you shoot in 4 directions, I just felt myself bouncing around quite a lot. And like you said, you can take like 12 hits, but you can get quite easily and you're done for before you kind of know it. But I'm actually willing to sort of concede that's probably more me than the game. And I think you're right. I think if you take the time to acquaint yourself and acclimatize yourself to the controls in this game, I think you could get on with this quite well. I think there's some really clever touches to this. I think it's well designed, and I think it looks nice and it sounds good, and I think it probably deserves that score. And I think there's plenty here to justify the score. I think it's a decent game, even if I was rubbish at it. And I think that's more me. And I just, so I'm not. I think I could see beyond the fact that this wasn't me. This wasn't the game's fault that I was rubbish. It was just that I was rubbish at it, and that's fair enough. You can be rubbish at a game and still appreciate it. And I think that's one of these games. And again, like yourself, never heard of it, never saw it, never heard of it, never even heard the name. When we were coming across it and we were listening to the games, going, Netherworld, what the hell's that? But yeah, interesting game this. I might actually try and, if I get some time, which I probably won't, but I would like to try and sort of get a bit better at this and try and make my way through it. Yeah. it has a bit of a pull, so it's decent enough game. Yeah, that's it. There we go. That's Netherworld. Long may this quality of games continue. Let's move on to our next one and see if it does. This one, Graham, takes us to the beach in a simulator for a buggy. This is Beach Buggy Simulator, £1.99 from Silverbird. I'm going to leave the score as a bit of a surprise. We'll see what it gets. So it's another day, another Silverbird arcade knockoff. This is Beach Buggy Simulator. Well, let's face it, though, there's no real simulation going on here. Not that I could see.
Really.
Not really. What we have here is a knockoff Moon Patrol variant in Beach Buggy form. It's Moon Patrol. It's back in Beach Buggy form. Who wanted that?
No one.
No one. According to Lemon64, this was coded by Grant Harrison. He was the man who worked on Galavan, Knight Rider, A View to a Kill, and V.
Yeah, and Super Bowl 20.
And Super Bowl 20, yeah. So I am expecting great things from this, clearly. According to the instructions, such as they are, you have just bought yourself a shiny new beach buggy and entered the Dune trials. That made me laugh because I was hoping, Kwisatz Haderach and all that sort of thing. When the Dune trials, you have to run away from a massive sandworm. But no,
in this one, it'd be like the Kwisatz Haderach, I think.
You get into the Dune trials to show everyone how excellent your new beach buggy is. You must burn across the sandhills, jump over the rocks and fire, and if you have to, shoot out the helicopters, which I thought made this take quite a violent turn out of nowhere.
Unusual for just a joyful beach buggy ride.
Yeah, no, shoot the helicopters, get out of them. If you beat the clock and qualify for the next harder round, there you go. That's it. So that's your quest, to be the best beach buggy person at the Dune trials. The game starts, and we've got some options for 1 or 2 players, and music or sound effects, and start the game. So once started, this is where the problem. I would say this is where the problems start, but the problem started as soon as it loaded up because the music's awful. So it's dreadful. The music is not good at all. In fact, it's very annoying, as are most things about this game. As previously noted, it's a Moon Patrol knockoff. So you control your beach buggy as you move from left to right using left and right on the joystick to speed up or slow down. You move over like an undulating sort of sand dune thing. It's not really, I don't know, it's this landscape. Up makes you jump, and finally the fire button fires a bullet out of a beach buggy. This is what beach buggy comes with bullet firing capabilities. I don't know. Along the way, the course meanders up and down, and you must make sure to jump over the boulders of fire and avoid or shoot the oncoming helicopters. There are trees and cacti, but they're just scenery, so it's okay to just drive past them. Should you hit anything, rocks and fire, you will stop and catch fire for a bit before being allowed to move on again. And that's it, really. Same with the helicopters. The information in the UI at the bottom tells you what round you're in, the distance you have to travel to get to the end of the course, how much fuel you have left, and the time left before it's game over. So you got fuel yet, and you can also collect little purple pellets that kind of float around. They refuel your fuel tank. So that's quite good. So if you run out of fuel, or if you run out of time, then it's game over for you. That's what happens. There are many annoying things about this game besides the music. The graphics are basic and not great. They're blocky and chunky and indistinct and not very particularly fun. The scrolling's okay, I guess. It's smooth enough, but not great. The rest are rubbish. The controls are annoying. The car bounces around when you land, which usually invariably lands you in a hazard. You couldn't jump whilst going down a slope. Did you find that? Did you manage that? I don't know if that was just my vote, but I couldn't jump, problem. Which was annoying because there's rocks on the downward slopes, so it's like you can't jump. I don't know.
Yeah.
Collisions are frequent and annoying, and this is just level 1. So when you land as well, you invariably bounce. So you bounce to sort of like a boing, 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 and you can't jump at this point again. So you'll invariably bounce straight into another collision with something, another object, and it's just rubbish. It's just dreadful. It's no surprise this got 21%. It is just an arse cake of a game because it's just unpleasant. Whoever put the rocks where they put the rocks, there's no feeling of just letting you complete a course. There's a number of courses. You want to complete the first one. Let the player complete the first one and then challenge them with later on. Don't put rocks in a place where they'll jump over this one. They'll land on the next one because they've got no choice. And having to learn to jump early, and the collisions is crap. So it's just awful. I mean, this could have been a fun little arcade romp. with a more inviting on-ramp and better designed courses. But as it is, it's just punitive and annoying and ugly looking and sounding. Moon Patrol is a good, 5 to 6 years old at this point? What is it, about 1983, I think? But it's still way more playable and enjoyable than this. Arcade variants can be fun. If you look at things like Grand Prix Simulator or BMX Simulator, which are knockoffs of Super Sprint, they're all right. We like them. They're fine. There's loads of arcade variants that we've got time for that we like. But this kind of thing, which I actually came to think about it, is kind of almost competing in the Kickstart style of game, and it kind of made me think, is Kickstart kind of like Moon Patrol a little bit, maybe? Is that
maybe
left to right sort of thing? And when you put it up against that, like, no, it's never going to get a look in when you go play Kickstart or Kickstart 2. This kind of game, which is go from left to right and jump over obstacles and stuff like that, without the stupid shooting of helicopters, it's way more better. And it's the same price. And it's been out ages, so this is crap. I hated this. And if you don't believe me, and you should, but if you don't, then
there's no reason not to.
One of our patrons, Buzzit, has written a few words about this, which I'm going to read out. And this was his view on Beach Buggy Simulator. First of all, he says, congratulations on a century of episodes, gents. I wish to celebrate your mental endurance with a few short words about Beach Buggy Simulator. He says, as a consumer, it might be reasonable to assume that there would be a beach, certainly a buggy, and maybe some surf music, and definitely some simulation involved with this title. But the developer, Cysoft, decided to trick all of us by making a game set in arid mountains with a deformed 4x4 off-road monster truck, severe bending of the laws of physics, music that sounds like rubbing sandpaper together, and a 100% guarantee that collision detection will have you hit an obstacle within 2 seconds of play. With this release, Silverbird have published an unpolishable dog egg that should never have been committed to tape. It beggars belief that Commodore user gave this 5 out of 10. Whatever they were using must have been very strong indeed. Best wishes for the next 100 episodes. There you go. See? Not just me that thinks this. That. You can't argue with that. Thank you very much, Buzzit. You are absolutely spot on. This is an unpolishable dog egg. Good turn of phrase. What about you, Graham? Did you enjoy Beach Buggy Simulator?
No, I didn't. No. From the makers of Galavan. And Knight Rider, no. Crappy Moon Patrol variants have no place in this time. About 7 years too late from what I could gather. And utterly devoid of any fun of any kind. Because it's not a very good Moon Patrol variant either, which is kind of... Because Moon Patrol's all right in of itself. But not like this. The graphics aren't great. You end up really... Your beach buggy actually looked more like a wheeled shoe. And it looked like you were driving it across a landscape made of grated cheese.
Yeah, it's awful.
It might have the same basic principles of Moon Patrol, but that's where it ended. Scoot along and avoid stuff is the plan, but you can't avoid stuff in this because you're always hitting things because it's impossible to do all the things you need to do to avoid stuff. The one thing you're meant to be able to do, you can't. So simplistic, yes, but really annoying with no payoff, even at £2. This is utter clown shoes. So that was my thoughts.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to argue with you. It's a proper dog egg. It's rubbish. It's awful. It is. Ugly and nasty. Great
call it wheeled shoe simulator. You'd be closer to it.
Yeah, true. Why are you shooting at helicopters? It's supposed to be a fun little beach buggy. Dune trials.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are they bombing you with helicopters?
Why do
Where
it
are all
like
these
this
helicopters
at all?
coming from?
Why don't you look like a Dune bug?
Don't know. Why? Yeah.
Have they not played Boogie Boy and seen what that looks like? It looks like a buggy thing.
Yeah, buggy. Not like this. No. Dreadful. No. Awful. There we go. That's Beach Buggy Simulator. It's frigging crap. All right. We've got a couple more games still to come with special guests. So let's take no time. Let's get into those. Okay, and we're into our next game, but this one is not. We've got special guests. It's episode 100. Anything can happen. Anything,
all sorts. Anything.
It could go on. Who knows? It's just chaos in the building.
We've reached into the universe and plucked out some amazing people. That's what we've done.
Yes, that's exactly what we've done. We've we've done that with our big hand, the fisto grip. Is what we've done.
I'm not sure I don't want anything to do with that.
No one wants the fisto grip.
No, they do not.
Right, yeah. So we've got one of our patrons, Mr. Roger Dodger, who has come along and has taken road blasters off our hands for us, of which I might be entirely very grateful. So, hello, Roger. You okay?
Hello.
Good to have you on.
Thank you.
Always. Excellent.
Absolutely. So Go for it. I mean, look, tell us. You've got Road Blasters. You picked it. We didn't force it on you. It was your choice.
Rose-tinted spectacles.
It was up to you. So tell us all about Road Blasters then, Roger.
Sure. Okay, so Road Blasters. So this is the US Gold conversion of the 1987 Atari arcade game. So it's produced by Amazing Products, coded by Martin Webb, graphics by Dennis Webb, and music by our old pal David Whittaker. Martin and Dennis are the team who previously bought you the C64 conversion of Outrun, which was covered back in episode 78.
Done his own work.
He has. It's always good. More than us.
Sorry. I thought I would go and have a look at the Atari arcade flyer for Road Blasters and just see how it was described. So, here we go. They describe it as a futuristic warfare game where the player battles evil opponents from behind the wheel of a high-performance armoured car.
That's one way.
I'm getting Mad Max, I think, from there.
Yeah, totally.
Mad Max.
Aldi Mad Max, I think.
Yes. So, the game involves you driving across 50 courses, trying to get from start to finish without running out of fuel. Along the way, various enemy vehicles, road hazards, and gun emplacements try to prevent you from reaching the end. Your car's fitted with machine guns, providing defense against enemy cars and roadside turrets. Support jets periodically drop additional special weapons, which, if caught, provide cruise missiles, nitro injectors, and shields in limited capacity. So, fuel is effectively your energy in this game, and it can be replenished along the way by driving over fuel pods and successfully crossing each of the course's midway checkpoints. I think if anyone's never heard of this game, the best way to describe it was something I found from an interview with the Atari developers in Retro Gamer a while back, and they described it as a mashup of Pole Position and Spy Hunter. So essentially think Pole Position viewpoint with Spy Hunter weapon mechanics, which until I'd read that, I'd never really thought of before, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of obvious, yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I first came across the C64 version as a kid, having never played the arcade game. It was part of the Arcade Muscle compilation, which I still have today, and I've brought with me. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. There it
all
is.
its glory. So, two things about this.
That Target Renegade kicker.
Yes.
What's happened to him?
Yeah, what can we say? Two things about this, actually. Obviously, as well as having Road Blasters, it's also got Street Fighter. And when I picked this up this afternoon, when I dug this out, the quote on the back, with its obviously obligatory 16-bit screenshot, because of the time we're now in at the late 80s, it says, from Sinclair user, Street Fighter, thoroughly impressive combat game. Which doesn't sound very committal at all, really, does it? Which sums up Street Fighter perfectly, I thought. And Road Blasters, the quote from CV's Computer and Video Games, vroom, boom, and doom. So we'll go and see what that's all about.
God, they didn't really struggle in there, aren't they? What was that? Vroom, what? Boom and doom.
Vroom, boom, and doom.
That's a Friday afternoon one, if there was any.
Do you imagine if that was on the movie poster for Mad Max? Vroom, boom, doom. But nobody would see that. I'm not going to see that. Humongous would be outraged.
It's more rejected Rice Krispie mascots again, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's what it is.
It suddenly made me think of that very weird Turkish version of Star Wars. For some reason.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Anyway, I'll press on. So obviously, yeah, great. I loved it. I thought this was pretty good back when I was a kid. But let's see how it looks through adult eyes, shall we? So the game's pretty much all here. All 50 levels, as are the support jet and the special weapons. All the enemy vehicles and hazards are present. The graphics are okay, if a little chunky. All in all, it plays okay. Then, I fired up the arcade version. Christ. The difference is literally like night and day. All the elements that make this a compelling arcade game, you'd expect people wanting to pump your 10 pences back in the day. They're not there.
No.
The speed, the sound effects, the way the car handles, the musical bursts which increase tension when you're nearing the end of the level, none of that's here. Why? Well, because the C64 hardware just simply isn't designed to handle a game like this. You know, Road Blasters was built on an Atari System 1 arcade platform, 16-bit bespoke arcade platform. Trying to attempt this sort of 8-bit micro design in 1981, pointless. Yeah, the C64 version, well, is slow, it's ploddy and bland, with little in-game sound aside from basic gun effects, explosions, and alarm noises. There's literally just no atmosphere. It's as flat as a bloody pancake. There is some in-game music from Mr. Whittaker, between levels, but it soon becomes pretty repetitive if you get that far. The controls obviously follow the usual 8-bit convention we're used to by now. Up to accelerate, left and right to steer, with fire for the machine gun. And, as we all know, while it wasn't ideal, that was what it was back on the 8-bit micros in those days. But what I couldn't get used to was the special weapons. To activate those, you have to, that's right, pull down. Ugh, no. Yes, exactly that.
The fourth input, it has to be used for something.
Yeah.
The opposite of speed up. Yeah, that's right.
Deary me. Yeah, I mean, I think we said this a little while ago, but, we've got all these kind of like retro joysticks now for the old platforms where you can map, jump or whatever to another button. Why couldn't we have had something like that with all the useless extra buttons on the joysticks back in the day? But, it was what it was. But that said, putting criticism aside, I think that's important to note again, as was noted, by Graham and Outrun. Martin Webb was only 17, 18 when he wrote this game, and given the brief given to him by US Gold and the limitations of C64, he didn't really do a bad job. It wasn't a buggy mess that was just shoved out the door. It did work. I couldn't find any information about the development of this, as obviously it wasn't as big a game as Outrun, but I can't imagine he would have been given long to complete this. I mean, given the way it was reported he was treated by US Gold with doing the Outrun conversion, it's little wonder that this was his last game for US Gold, and, he left the game dev industry at 21. I think in summary, I would say another US Gold license cash grab.
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah, I'm not going to argue much with that, I don't think. I didn't think this was a particularly good game, and I've actually written my first sentence: the lack of atmosphere completely kills this. So it's deathly dull. Yeah. It's boring. I mean, the 3D effect, okay, it's fast. But it's those raster lines, those split raster lines that we get. It annoyed me that the raster lines also go through the white lines in the middle of the track.
Yeah, it's awful.
And the car.
And the car. But I also got annoyed by the fact that the trees, they don't move as fast as the update. So the side graphics are not moving as fast as the roadside. It's it's like, no, these two things should move at the same speed. Otherwise, no, just no. I mean, the controls work, except apart from that down to fire the thing, which I managed to do once. And then I got shot by one of the roadside things. So I was slowing down because that's what's happened.
Yeah.
It's a very limited game, this. Yeah. And I think it's got that, like we've said about a lot of Atari games, it's got that Atari punch in the arcade. So the sound effects, the noises, it's got those bassy thing that goes on with Atari games in the arcades. You strip all that out and you're left with, as we've said, with so many of these Atari titles, very little. And this is another example of that. That's what I thought. And also, I don't like racing games or driving games where you don't have to steer. There's no point in having corners. Might as well have just made this turbo, whatever, the old Sega one. It's not a driving racing game. I didn't like this. I mean, you can cut Martin Webb some slack because of the age and obviously the way we trip. But my ire, as most of these are, is not aimed at him. It's the publisher. It's US Gold. Yeah. It's just the more I play these games, don't get started. Because it's just pissing me off. It's just stop it. Stop releasing this rubbish. But did you like it, Graham? Were you a fan?
No, it's not good, is it? I liked in the instructions that it said there's 4 unique computer-controlled opponents, which are called stingers, command cars, cycles, and rat jeeps.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it says apparently rat jeeps are evasive and unpredictable. I'm thinking they're all evasive and unpredictable in that game, rat jeep or otherwise. Spent ages trying to avoid the toxic spills, the spikers. It's like, just spikers and my spikers. Anyway, it ain't good, is it? I thought it looked like it was obviously built on that Outrun framework engine.
Yeah.
I mean, that opening screen was clearly basically the same as the Choose Your Music screen from, I was expecting to see sort of magical sound shower appear and then just disappear. Go, no, pay no attention to that. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, you literally just had to keep holding left, didn't you, to go on the easy mode, or keep holding right.
Yeah.
Like,
so it had that horrible stripy raster bar effect I don't like. The arcade has that, but it's green and green in the arcade. It's green and grey on the Commodore 64 with those crappy trees that just look like, they honestly look like turds on sticks. Yeah. That's what they were.
It's what you get from the ice cream man you never want to visit.
You don't visit that ice cream for those. A 99 and a flake. Hang on, give us 2 minutes on the old 99. Smells like curry. It will do. No, it doesn't. So the graphics are sort of, it's like looking at a sort of version of an arcade, but not quite the same, is it? It's like, because it's 8-bit. It's there, but not quite in it. So it sort of looks like it should, but I don't know.
I'm looking at a screenshot of it now as well, and I'm sure the car, it actually looks like it's pulling a wheelie constantly.
Yeah.
You mean the battle vehicle? This is more than an ordinary car we're talking about.
Sorry, the battle vehicle.
Battle vehicle.
Whatever the damn thing is.
I mean, I thought here that in my little notes that the city in the background looks stupid. The road was too bendy to be a bendy thing. It was too. Roads aren't that bendy. They'd be dangerous if they were. The bottom of this horror lies the vehicle, which looked like the car from the arcade, I suppose, but in a really weird perspective that hurt my brain. when it was going around a bend, and I turned, and it was all kinds of wrong. I was like, no, the car shouldn't bend that way.
Yeah,
it sort of looked like the arcade. In a still, it would but when it moves, it doesn't at all. It's all wrong. Mm-hmm. Really dull though. I mean, talk about removing the atmosphere. It's like driving in silence. It's utterly. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, even your own car has at least the drone of the engine or a noise.
We have We have moaned quite a lot about the whine of the C64 racing games, but I think I prefer that to this. It's
just silence. It's like unnerving.
I know. It's like driving a mortuary.
The UI at the bottom looked like the arcade, and in terms of its colour, it just looks a bit like it didn't actually do a lot. So they had a graphic there, not much of it moved or did anything. The music, though, I mean, you can't call it. I mean, even by Dave Whittaker loop standards, that's short.
If I'm going to be really unfair, I'm sure there's like a timing issue as the screen scrolls up when the music comes in. It's just like, once I noticed, I couldn't unnotice it.
I mean, in that respect, Dave Whittaker is the perfect person to get for this because he is, master of the 4-second sting. It's like, 4-second loop. It's like.
But his music player must be pretty heavy going for those 15-second loops. It's like, just I don't know. Anyway, what music there is was a bit naff. Yeah. So what you end up with after all of that is just a shell. It's the shell of the game. It controls really weirdly, and it doesn't lend itself to the Commodore 64 joystick. I found myself overcompensating for everything. So a slight movement meant I was flying and skidding around and flying left to right. Nah, no.
No. This is not
Take Mr. Webb and Mini Webb. Please, don't do any more. Enough now. That's enough. Enough from you guys. Go and see a psychiatrist and re-establish your familiar relationships, but stay away from arcade conversions, just because they're not getting any better.
They're not. So. There we go. No blasters. No blasters. I think
Toad blasters.
Toad blasters. Node blasters. Oh, rubbish. Yeah. It's not very good. Plasters. It got 59% as well. I think that's massively generous. Yeah. We do actually have, though, just to say, we do have another view on this, and that's from Bastish64. And we'll play that here.
Road Blasters is such a mixed bag for me personally, and was another game I really enjoyed frequently playing at my local beachfront arcade. The graphics and manic Atari sound always made it a fun, if very limited ride in short bursts. As a C64 conversion, it works on some levels and doesn't, but it's nowhere near as bad as the magazines at the time would have you believe. And I think most people reviewing this game never actually played the arcade game before. The Zapped review is actually the most reasonable, but I still think it deserves a bit more credit. The coder responsible for it was a really young kid named Martin Webb. This high schooler was given the insane task of converting Outrun and Road Blasters in the same year to the C64. And although Outrun is an absolute mess, I think his Road Blasters conversion is pretty decent overall. The arcade game itself is pretty limited in retrospect. Race, shoot, pick up fuel, next level. It's very much an Atari score chaser of its time, with really flashy visuals. The C64 does a pretty good job of this, with the graphics that are quite faithful and decent, and the sound effects complementing the action, although the music falters out with that terrible title tune with no in-game tunes either, which would have added a lot of atmosphere to this game, although the original arcade game didn't have any in-game music either, so it's still a pretty accurate conversion. I think as a C64 arcade conversion, it's mid-tier. It does convey the feel and look of the arcade, and this is where the reviews are a bit skewed, with the mediocrity really being the repetitive nature of the arcade original, with Webb simply replicating it the best he could. So what I'm trying to say is that simply it's a decent conversion of an honestly very limited playability-wise arcade game. I've been Bastish B for the 64K YouTube channel dedicated to the Commodore 64 and all other retro gaming goodness. Thank you for listening to my dodgy reviews. I really appreciate it. And a serious congratulations to Adrian and Graham for 100 episodes of the Zapped to the Past podcast. by far my favorite and should be everybody's favorite Commodore 64 podcast. And well done, guys. I hope you have a lot more successful episodes.
So he likes it.
Does he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What? Sorry, Bastiche.
Maybe maybe it's the rose tinted thing from back in the
kind
day.
eyes. He's got kind eyes. Though. He's a kind guy with kind eyes.
He's a kind-hearted man who looks beyond the guff and sees the beauty behind
raster
things.
graphics. Yeah, he's looking past the blocky, chunky vehicle that's out of control and the nightmarish, boring, dreary gameplay that doesn't feel like the arcade. He's looked past that and seen an arcade in all of its glory.
He has. Maybe he's seen the arcade.
Important mention here has got to be to AL82 Retro from the Discord channel on his brilliant playthrough channel. I don't know if you guys have been on there. That's my go-to place now for playthroughs.
Absolutely.
He's played through not only the Commodore 64 version, all 50 levels, hence how I proved all 50 levels, but also the Atari Lynx version. And wow.
He loves it. He must love that game. Did anyone ask Atari, did anyone say to them, can you blend these two games into one, please? What we want is Pole Position meets Spy Hunter. And I've gone, no, we're not doing that. No.
You think Atari would say no to nothing? Remember, this is Jack Trammell at the helm at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, good point.
Oh, of course it is.
So he'll never say no to anything,
absolutely.
I read that on a toilet wall.
Do you know, I was listening to an interview with Jack Trammell, and he sounds, at one point in the interview, he sounds like Denomalos from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Sounds exactly like him.
He looks like him as well.
I know, but I was waiting for him to go, I hate the robot versions of them. I have diplomatic immunity.
I hate the C64 conversions of our arcade games.
It's a computer for the masses.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, there we go. Road Blasters, not very good. No. Another subpar arcade conversion.
Very eggy.
Yeah, very eggy indeed. Let's move on to our next one. Oh, before we do that though, thank you, Roger. Thank you for coming in and doing that and saving us the time of having to actually write a proper review on that rubbish.
Exactly. You're welcome. It's nice to meet you both, and congratulations on 100 episodes, and congratulations for not, collapsing, I guess, after playing some of these games.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
You know, we committed to it.
Yeah.
I feel we will be committed at the end of this.
We like to say we play these games so you don't have to, except for episode 100 when you play them, so we don't have to, which is a nice reversal.
All right, thank you very much.
No, thanks very much. Congratulations on 100 episodes.
All right, so that was Road Blasters. So cheers, Roger, for doing that. Now, the madness doesn't stop. But, it's episode 100. Anything goes, and 100, more goes here. Well, woo. So our next game is Nighttime. But we're not reviewing that. No, we've got someone else in. We've got Nick from our Patreon.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Nick.
Hi.
Hello. And you've chosen to review Nighttime, the illogically placed middle part of a trilogy in according to Zapped, which is odd. Which I don't quite understand. So Nighttime. Do you want to tell us all about Nighttime, Nick?
Yeah, sure, but I had one joke and out my whole notes, and you've sort of pissed on it, really, I'm afraid.
It's all right. We can make it work. We'll make it work in post. It's all right.
No, it's fine. Keep it in. Right. So anyway, first of all, hi guys, and congratulations on your 100th episode. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to say, I know being a patron, the episode comes out on a Saturday, but I always wait to the Monday morning when I go to work, cycle in because it's just easier, and I just love putting it on. And I don't know, I just find it really, really therapeutic. But also, I love the fact that the game's ultimately poo now. You can't really play them. That's sort of my favourite thing. I'm not looking forward to how good a game is. It's more how bad it's going to be, and when you look back on it, I don't know. That's something I really enjoy. Anyway, back on the game. So, Nighttime for Master Chronic, $2.99 on the Mad label. It's the sequel. It's the 5th instalment of a 4-part trilogy. That was my joke. Actually, So it's the third game in the Magic Knight series, but is it just on the Commodore that it was coming out of sequence, or was that across all platforms? But I know you've covered it before. Anyway, so the programmer was David Jones, and the in-game music by David Whittaker on the C64. But what I found odd is Rob Hubbard did the Specky music. Is that common? I mean, probably Graham, your sort of knowledge. Isn't it?
He was doing quite a bit of 1-8 Specky 1-8 music at the time because it had a nicer sound chip, didn't it? I think it had the was I want to say Yamaha, but I'd need to speak to the SID chip. AY, whatever it is.
What is preferred to the SID chip?
No, that's not that he preferred it. I think it was better than what he was. You could actually make music on it as opposed to on the Specky 48K and the whatever you call that sound emitting that came from that.
Yeah, cool. Anyway, so here's the blurb, the plot. Having released Gimbal, the wizard from the self-inflicted whiteout spell at the end of Spellbound, Magic Knight has been catapulted through time to the future. He has materialized on a 25th century starship, USS Pisces, but has had the good fortune to find a data cube which has reduced his culture shock. God knows what that means. His only chance of getting back lies in finding the Time Guardian, spelled with a Y. I think that's just to make the title work, assembling the pieces of the time machine, again with a Y. But the Paradox Police are waiting to arrest him in 30 days' time. Now, don't know what that means. Anyway, it's a crazy story.
Paradox Police.
Set in space, when the first couple of games are in some sort of fantasy land, so I don't know what's going on there. But actually, when you guys read these blurbs, I sort of like doze off a bit, and then I just hear the odd word, and it's always like really quiet. Really, because they're always really surreal and like, I have nothing to do with the game. Anyway, so my knowledge of the game, I actually bought and owned Finders Keepers, which is the first one, 1985, so I'd have been 11 then. And that was just $1.99 on the regular Mastertronic. And I remember it being sort of very specky looking, because I think David Jones originally wrote it on a specky, and then probably the Amstrad with the Z80 chip, and then ported it to the C64, etc. And I found Finders Keepers was more of a Jet Set Willy style sort of clone, really, and it wasn't.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't. Yeah, there was all like, I know you mentioned other reviews when you just got odd things, just sort of like, enemies running around or traveling around. You've got to avoid them. And it was the introduction of the Windowmation system. I know you've talked about it before, but that's sort of the sort of UI performing text adventure style actions. Pick up glue, examine teapot, sort of crap. In Finders Keepers, it was more of a platform. A few puzzles to solve. So I found it quite annoying as an 11-year-old. And I'd pick up the glue and then you couldn't drop it, and it was stupid. And I didn't get quite very far with it then. So I never played Nighttime, and I wasn't expecting much. But here's what I found. So I loaded it up, jumped about for a bit, and soon got bored as I had no idea what to do. I would not have been so impatient as a 14-year-old, and I don't think anyway, because I would have paid a few quid for it. If I'd have paid £3 for it, I think I would have given it a bit more. But anyway, I got bored pretty sharp. So I watched a few YouTubes and see what it had to do. So you start on board a spaceship. And the first thing you have to do is get recognised as a crew member. So you need a valid ID. This involves finding the camera, the film, removing the invisibility cloak, and get one of the droids to take a picture of you. So once you've got the ID, you can control the USS Pisces, refuel, and then you're meant to collect the pieces of the Golden Sundial at worlds you can visit. And I say worlds, there's about 3 rooms in each.
Yeah, sounds right.
Sounds like a Star Trek world.
Yeah, you get pieces of the sundial, apparently, or the Golden Sundial, to make the time machine work, so you can get back to the land of the original game, the days of yore. Okay. So after my YouTube adventure, I loaded it back up. I got as far as getting the camera, talking to a few of the characters and whatnot, and then I got bored again. But that was it. But I think as a young lad back in the day, I'd have probably enjoyed it. I used to love Jet Set Willy. I used to love exploring Jet Set Willy, walking around. And I used to love text adventures, actually, strangely enough, especially on my first computer, the VIC-20. And I've actually wrote a couple of text adventures in my time. So yeah, I would have probably enjoyed it after all. Anyway, so that's what I found. £3. Yeah, there's lots to do, find and explore. Quite like the Windowmation system. It sort of opens up the story a bit more, makes you interact with characters. I kept pressing escape when I was trying to use the Windowmation, just because I was on an emulator and it was instant death, so that was annoying. But the controls seem pretty tight, although there are some issues. Okay, so yeah, issues. Walking is slow. For some reason, it's much easier to jump around left and right.
Yeah.
For some reason, which was I didn't quite get that. sometimes the windowmation is long and winded. You end up trying to string a few commands together. And if you made a mistake, you don't want to go down that route. You have to get right to the end to cancel. That was annoying.
Stupid.
I think this is my main sort of gripe with it. Obviously, it's a specky port, but there was colour clash, and I just don't get why there should have been colour clash on the C64. I loaded it up in the C64 debugger and found that there was 4 sprites to use for the main character, 2 to make up the knight, and there was like 2 to make up a blank underlay under the knight. So he didn't have colour clash. Also, you couldn't see through his grill, which I thought was, that really worked. But why they just did that and didn't bother with the other characters, I don't know. Anyway, I got bored and frustrated, and I soon forgot what items I needed to pick up, where they were, and stuff like that. But I think back in the day, as a teenager with a pen and paper and a bit of imagination, I quite enjoyed it. I'd have made notes and I figured stuff out eventually. So Zapped quite liked it. I give it 92% for presentation. Not sure about that after the colour clash and stuff. Graphics 70%, yeah. Sound 69. Oh, the good thing about the sound, I thought that was quite an interesting thing, is you had to use in the windowmation where the personal stereo, what it was, and then the music would start. I thought that was a clever little touch. Hookability, lastability, 89, 84. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. I've never quite understood them. And overall, 8%. Maybe a tad high, I thought, really. But for £3, yeah, it's okay. Anyway, ever since I started listening to the podcast, I've always wanted to say this. And what did you guys think?
Very good. I love it.
Yeah. Graham, go on.
Well, no surprise, really, for me. I don't like it. Because I don't like any of the stupid Finding Night games.
Yeah.
I mean, this one has a more central, sensible idea, I suppose, of how it operates, but it's not a game I can get into. I just find them really depressingly dull, and backwards and forwards. Talk to the guy, like you say, pick up the glue, talk to the teapot, and then and all that.
There was too much, I know there was a red herring there, and from experience with the glue in the first game, I knew not to go near that. But I mean, if I hadn't watched the YouTube, I can't see how I'd have figured out exactly what to do instantly, or not instantly, but in a time to hold my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. They have this knack, these games, of vagarisms. So they sort of play it a bit too vague, and it makes the idea is to sort of extend the puzzle logic of the game. But in reality, I find that frustrating, that it feels like you're not getting anywhere. I didn't actually play it long enough to die of exhaustion, but I suspect you probably do, like all the other games of this time. And like you say, I like the fact that you called it long-windimation, because it is really long-winded. So that's genuinely how I feel about that, because I feel like you have to go 3 steps forward to go 3 steps backwards, and you can't just sort of quit out, like you say. Instant death is never a good thing. No, not for me. Not for me. This $2.99 is the only saving grace for this. 80%, I don't bloody think so. What about you, Did you like it?
I loved it. No, well, Magic Knight shenanigans. It's more the same, isn't it? Spectrum style graphics. I like long windimation. That's good. I'm having that. Lots of rooms. Probably die of exhaustion. Decent Dave Whittaker soundtrack, I guess. But it's one of those Dave Whittaker pieces where you think it's just getting going and then loops. You're like, oh God, Dave,
like Panther.
Yeah, you're just getting into it, and it's like, this is the beginning, isn't it? Damn you, Whittaker. I just go listen to this what we said about Spellbound or Stormbringer, because I think everything we said in there stands here. It's the same. It's another one of these games. These games, they are what they are. I mean, for £3, yeah. If it's your bag, if you like this kind of walking 3 rooms to the right to find the egg to put in the blender to do this with the glue and the dirt, it's like great. We've seen loads of these games as we've done this thing, but as we have both said time and time again, it ain't my bag. It ain't our bag. That's for sure.
Pointless and click.
Yeah. It was sort of like a text adventure in some ways, I'm sure, but I don't know. And it was trying to take away the hassle of, I do not understand what you're saying. Talk to so-and-so. They tried to take that out, but for me, it was sort of stuck. Is it like a text adventure? Is it a sort of platformer? And I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I found it frustrating and boring.
Yeah, I didn't like this. I found it. It's just it's a Spectrum game. You can keep it. We're fine. We're fine. We've got better games than this. Games that play to the system. This ain't one of them. Take it and just go back to your bleeps and bloops.
Yeah, and weird that nobody really anticipated with great eagerness any of the sequels to those games. So, like this one, everyone's gone, it's a sequel to so-and-so. It's not like they've gone, like, with Last Ninja 2, going, oh, great, it's a sequel to the amazing Last Ninja. Nobody sat there doing, wow, Spellbound sequel, I can't wait. Nobody did that.
Did you mention earlier about or any of the other ones about that Harry S. Price ripping off Spellbound. You know how he
we
supposed to
saw
guy.
that. Yeah.
And crime busters, and I think you have to solve a crime or something. That actually sounds more interesting. You know, I'd be more into that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's all I've got, really. I'll let you guys crack on, really.
So there you go. That's Nighttime. A sequel out of sequence for some reason. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe just Zap reviewed it in the wrong way. Anyway, it's okay. If you like that kind of thing, it's okay. I don't think we were ever going to think anything more, were we? No, probably not. Anyway, there you go. That's Nighttime. And there we go. That's it. That's our games. We've reviewed them. Other people have reviewed them. We've looked at them. We've had music with Gary. We've had loads and loads of people. It's all been cool. That's it.
Second opinions all over the place.
More than that. Sometimes third and fourth opinions.
Absolutely, yes. Lengthy opinions.
Lengthy, loads of opinions. So what have we looked at this week? We looked at the pretty awesome Salamander, all things considered. We looked at the pretty awful I-Xera. We looked at the pretty confusing and pointless and weird Blood Brothers. We looked at the pretty stodgy Empire Strikes Back. We looked at the confusing but good Netherworld. Pretty confusing but good Netherworld. We looked at the pretty, it's not pretty at all. It's not very pretty. Pretty whiffy big Beach Buggy Simulator. We looked at the pretty inadequate Road Blasters and the pretty long-winded Nighttime.
Long-windimation.
Long-windimation, yeah, that's what it is. And that's what we've had. So there you go. That's it. That's the, that's it. Episode 100. As all things must come to an end. I can't believe we've got to 100 episodes.
It's incredible.
Episode 100. I mean, Jesus.
Official episode 100, yes.
Yeah, official episode 100. It's kind of crazy. We've played so many bloody games.
Exactly. I mean, it must be into the thousands now, I think.
No, not quite. We won't get to 1,000 until sometime in 1989. I counted them all up recently.
So I think it must be in the 800s then.
I think we're into 800s at the moment. I think by the end of 1988, we're about 970 or something.
My Lord, that's way too many.
It is, especially of the high quality we've been experiencing recently.
Oh, God, yeah, I know.
I don't know what happened. It was supposed to be, everyone said it gets good. Like, no.
No, we've still got some delights to come, but we have some interesting things out there.
We have indeed, sort of thing. So, in that thing, what have we got next week? We've got Slime is Mine.
Don't know much about that one.
I don't, but it's a 94% silver medal.
Wow, okay.
Then we've got European Five-A-Side.
Oh,
I'm not expecting good things about that. Mickey Mouse.
Who
knows? Fernandez Must Die.
Okay.
Who knows? Battleships.
Right.
That's going to be Battleships. Kane 2.
Okay.
Sword Slayer.
That doesn't sound good.
Probably isn't. Professional Snooker Simulator, which I'm pretty damn sure, like I said, it's the fourth time we might have looked at that game.
It can't be the same game.
I'm hoping not.
Unbelievable.
And then the odd game of 19 Part 1, Boot Camp.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Is that like a combat school variant or something?
I think it is, yeah, but set to the the 19 song. Kind of missing the point of the song a bit, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? But that's it. That's what coming up next week. Yeah, so that's it. That's episode 100 done. I'm quite proud. I'm quite pleased. It's kind of cool.
It's amazing. What started off 99 episodes ago with your infamous opening words and your opening gambit, with the words we echo to this day, really, in one sort of more of a... You sound, in the original recording at episode 1, you sound really unsure of yourself. It's quite funny, like, in this podcast, we're... it's like, now it's like, there we go, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. The difference is like night and day. It's quite amazing. Yeah.
One grows with confidence when one does it 100 times.
Always too much salt. I've tasted your podcast 100 times.
Absolutely. I feel sometimes, though, that this is, doing these episodes is like going through a diamond squeezer.
Painful diamond squeezer at that.
It really is. And gouting out a rock at the other side. But it's never good. But there we go. I think we've got loads in there. I just want to say, by the way, thank you to everyone that contributed to this episode. It is incredibly much appreciated. It's been a cool thing. Having people on, people giving us recordings, people giving us writing, joining us, having a laugh with us. It's amazing. And it's really cool sort of thing, because this thing, what we created, that you're all sort of, you like it, and it's kind of amazing. And I just want to say sort of thank you to everyone that listens, supports us. It's been everything. It's all been cool. So thank you very much for that. like fun to saying that. But just, we are shills to the capitalist whore. If you wish to join our Patreon, you can do. If you like this, and in future, you want to ask us questions when we do other special episodes, you might want to get on as well. Come join our Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/zapped to the past for what is essentially £4.50. That is the top tier, and that gets you access to the Discord and ask the podcast and chat and all that kind of stuff, and episodes early and all that kind of thing, ad-free variants and stuff like that. So, that would be really cool if you wanted to come and join that and have a good time on the Discord. That's all good. So if you fancy that, then head over there and do that. That would be greatly appreciated. I think I'm going to stop now. I think that's enough for episode 100. Have you got anything else you'd like to add?
No, it's been an amazing journey so far. Long may it continue for another 100 episodes.
Yeah,
let's hope the games get better. I'm sure they will. But I've learning a lot as we do all of these things. It's quite the amazing journey. I remember how many episodes of Issues of Zap are we on? What are we on now? 41, is it?
41. There's 90, I think. 91.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we're kind of almost halfway with the Issues of Zap, and we've got to literally 100 episodes. It's quite an achievement, that. And thank you to all our amazing contributors, Patreons, and everybody that's given us the pat on the back and the thumbs up. You kind of are the inspiration for us to carry on doing what we do. And of course, the inspiration for what we did originally, that's why we do this. So we play these games so you don't have to, and it's really nice that every now and again you do want to. So it's quite nice that. So
although we tell you not to, we're not lying.
Try,
we're not lying.
We spared you from some of the really crap ones this particular episode.
Yeah, we did. That is true.
No one played I-Xera. No one ever should ever again.
Yeah, probably not. Oh, there we go. Right. So yes. So thank you for that. We're going to go. As ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
I've been Nick James.
I've been Gary Wilson.
I've been Andrew Fisher.
I've been David Hearn.
I've been Roger Dodger.
And I've been Bastish B.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you have been listening to Zapped to the Past through a diamond squeezer. And we will see you again next week where we start the next 100 episodes. So see you then. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.